What's up, everyone? Welcome to my corner of the internet. I'm your host, Ryan Kramer, and this is Crossover Commerce, presented by PingPong Payments, the leading global payments provider helping sellers keep more of their hard-earned money. Hey, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Crossover Commerce. I'm your host, Ryan Kramer, and this is my corner of the internet where I bring the best and brightest in the Amazon and e-commerce space. If you're new to the podcast or if you're just tuning in for the first time, where have you been? This is shame on you. Not really, but I appreciate you tuning in for the first time. Or if this is your 200th time, that's right. This is episode 200 of my podcast that I started by accident, which I love to tell people. It was out of ask, not out of necessity. It was something I found passion in, but it has allowed me to connect with the best minds in the Amazon e-commerce space. Therefore, this beautiful thing became something that I haven't been able to control. I've liked to think I've been able to have some sort of control on this process as a host. Not necessarily, but I just wanted to give a quick thank you to, if you've listened to the one time, or if this is your first time, or if you listen to all 200, I appreciate that. If you're new to the podcast, just want to give a couple quick insights to the podcast. This is a live podcast. I like to record this live. I don't like to edit it. I like to be real with people. I like people to understand the insights, the value of what's coming from our guests or guests, which we're going to have on today. So if you are watching this on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, or Twitter, welcome. Thank you for tuning in a little bit on a busy Monday of leading up to Christmas. This is Monday, December 20th of 2021. So if you're listening to us now today, or if you're listening to us a later time, super busy week for all these individuals. So I appreciate their time that they can spend just to lend themselves to this podcast. So that being said, if you have a question, insight, want to say hi, let us know where you're listening from on the comment section below. Just let us know where you're listening from. Just drop in a quick hello. Or if you have a question, feel free to write that in there too. And we'll make sure our guests and experts can answer that. As you might know too, I also retired. I felt it was appropriate. I retired my old microphone. I started with a new one. So if there's a little audio issue, just let me know in the comment section. But I think we got it all hammered out. Thought it was a little gift to myself for 200. You got to celebrate the little things, right? That being said, if you're listening to this podcast, I mentioned before, this is where I bring on typically one-on-one guests where I can talk and give a back and forth insight. I felt it was appropriate to bring on some of my favorite guests in the past year plus that I've been doing this podcast up to leading to 200. So what I wanted to do is I'm going to facilitate this really great panel of people that we're going to get kicked off in about every half an hour for about 2 hours. We're going to be having new people coming and going as they can. So if we're going to go ahead and just kick off for a second with some amazing guests. I've had people on in the past. I only have one new person, so I just want to welcome him to his first podcast. I'm going to go ahead and just bring on everyone real quickly. And then our other person also joined us. Let me go ahead and bring it to the group. All right. First group of
Santa's
people.
here?
Santa is also here. I was able to get Santa. I hope that's okay with everyone. We have Nathan,
hello.
Chris, Michael, Elizabeth, and Lazar. Welcome all to Crossover Commerce once again. Nathan for the first time. We're gonna break him in today in a big way. So I felt it was appropriate to have Santa on today. So thank you everyone for coming on today. It's awesome to see you all again.
Thanks for having me. Hey Elizabeth, how are you?
Yeah. Hey.
Thanks.
Good to see you.
I was saying Michael is late to the party, so Michael, shame on you. Come on, man. No, so people who have been on the podcast, just a quick roundtable. If you could give us a quick introduction of, if you haven't listened to the podcast before, who you guys are. Let's start with Nathan. Let's kick you off for first time on a podcast. Welcome.
Yeah. Hi. I'm Nathan Smitsky. I am a marketing manager at Perch, which is an Amazon FBA aggregator. We like to go by acquirer, but we all, shorthand aggregators. And I've been kind of in the Amazon, FBA space for about a year now.
Awesome. Thank you for joining us today. And I know you have insights and valuable expertise in the e-com world as well. So awesome to have you on today. I'm glad you said yes. Chris, or Santa, as I didn't realize that you had caught me off guard there, Chris.
I am Chris with InReach. I'm a network of Amazon resources, and I match people together, usually brands with agencies or agencies with aggregators now, and things along those lines. So thanks for having me on, Ryan. Congratulations, by the way, and happy holidays and New Year coming up as well.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much. So he came festive, so you get 5 points to Gryffindor. If we would like to for us to, if that's over.
I'm more of a
some
Lord of
people's
the Rings
head,
person.
Okay, so yeah, there we go. Michael, thank you for hopping on. I'm sorry you were a little bit late, but it's okay. I know you're a busy guy this time of year too.
I was actually recording another podcast, my own, so I apologize for. I'm so busy. I'm just so busy, and so I spare a little bit of time out of my schedule to come on. But yeah, thanks for having me again, man. I think this is my third time being on with you. I run a customized done-for-you service agency called Cartology, and we are helping Amazon brands on Amazon to grow, to become profitable. Really diving deep with them and trying to stand up those brands as opposed to going super wide, but really going deep with the brands that we're working with and helping them to be successful.
And like Chris from the great state of Ohio, correct?
We actually live in the same city. If Chris and I wanted to go get coffee, we could do it in like 25 minutes.
We did. We actually had a couple COVID coffees. He was the only person I met with, I think.
At the same little spot called Urbana. But yeah, we're in the same city.
Midwest representing. I love it. No, it's all good. No, Chris, we were talking about how close is Cincinnati from Indianapolis, where I'm at, and we thought it was a lot closer, but it's only about 2 hours. We say, Chris, something like that.
Something like that.
Very
we almost
close.
got together. Yep.
Yeah, I was gonna say. So you had said, Michael, you've been on about this is your third time. I'm gonna start having a 5-timers club. I think like SNL. I should start doing that. I'm gonna make T-shirts or
I want a smoking jacket. Screw a T-shirt.
Jacket. Something like that. I think this weekend Paul Rudd was a 5-timers club. So if you're an SNL fan.
Jealous.
Yeah, very jealous. But I think we can start getting there. Like for some people I've had on and they've been on these big episodes. We've had it on. But anyways, I digress. Elizabeth, thank you for hopping on again. Person who's just crushing in the PPC space. Thanks for hopping on in your busy time of year.
Yeah.
Why don't you give us a quick intro?
I am Elizabeth Green. I am one of the co-founders of an advertising agency called Jungler. So we offer full service management. Basically, if you don't want to touch your PPC, hire us.
That's pretty easy. Don't want to touch your PPC. You can't figure it out. Hire us. Look at that pitch. I love it. Thanks for hopping on. You're in Florida, so I feel like the weather is like Florida. It's like what, 60, almost 60 degrees. It's gonna be like 60 degrees here in Indiana here in Christmas. So I feel like it's in Florida. So it's not normal at all.
Aren't we all gonna be in Florida for the next couple months?
Colder today, which
a lot of going on in Florida.
70s. We had 80s like 2 days ago.
Oh wow,
that doesn't suck. No, that doesn't sound terrible at all.
I would definitely go to the beach and wear my bikini.
This is a podcast, so if you can't see that, thank God. Sometimes if you're listening to it, sometimes we just opt for the audio version instead of the video version.
I don't have a bikini on, just to be clear. I said I would wear.
You would wear. No, last but not least, Lazar, thank you so much for hopping on. I know you're giving us so much great insight. Last time you were on, we were talking TikTok ads, but you do a lot more than that. Just give a quick insight for what you and Solar Zally are doing for people.
Thank you so much for inviting me, and congrats on episode 200. That's an amazing number. So Elizabeth posted a couple of days ago something about like podcasts, and there is ours that we tried to do, and like it was so hard to reach to episode number 10. So really congrats. 200 is a lot. So my name is Lazar. I'm the founder and owner of Seller Zally. We started as Amazon advertising agency and expanded to advertising on other platforms. Today we are partners with TikTok. We do a lot of other stuff as well, but like we're go-to agency when it comes to PPC.
Absolutely. No, yeah, you guys are doing so many cool things, and I was learning a lot about TikTok just from the episodes that you guys are doing and just all the information you were doing. So I guess, and I appreciate all the kind words. Again, I like to say this is a muscle I get to work out almost every day. You get stronger as the time goes on. I just am lucky that a lot of people like you guys say yes. So
you're very strong. I also want to compliment you. You're
super
strong.
buff under this shirt. Look at that. Yeah. Exactly. I'm very swole, as that the kids like to call it. So guys, I appreciate you all coming on, and I tried to pick a lot of different unique backgrounds to this space, whether it be e-commerce, agency-wise, aggregator, networking, so on and so forth. And you're going to see that theme come up in this episode. So I want to ask you, what did 2021, again, this is a very broad question. You probably have to think about this. If you had to summarize 2021 in a sentence or so for your industry or your company, what does that look like for each of you, and how would you how would you expand on that? Maybe just like one sentence each of you, and then we can expand on those. Nathan?
I can start with two words instead of a sentence, which it would be supply chain. There you go.
Supply chain. Okay.
Yeah.
Chris?
No, it's a wild year for us. We everyone faced kind of the same supply chain issues. We were kind of doing it at scale, so it just got super complicated, and acquiring businesses in the midst of that and making sense of their supply chain quickly and then kind of alleviating things. Like it was, the last 2 months or so kind of leading up to the holiday season was crazy. All hands on deck, and a lot of people were wearing a lot of different hats to stay in stock. And so thankfully we were, I think on hero SKUs, we were like 95% in stock, which was like a miracle, honestly. And I can go into more about supply chain. I can talk I think I want to only talk about supply chain.
You need your own episode for that, man. No, it makes sense. Supply chain. All right.
Yes.
Chris, anything for you?
Well, I mean, if we're down to one or two words, I'd say, just something high level, like just opportunity. I mean, it seems like it's just a very much of a .com moment, an Amazon.com moment. And that whole year's kind of leading up to that, but something seems like it's going to break or give or something, especially in the hiring realm. I think that's going to be one of the, operations is going to be a big thing. But anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. I would just say it's just opportunity. It's just a very exciting space to be in versus others going on right now. But
yeah, there's other businesses popping up. People are fixing problems we didn't know that
people starting businesses
had or needed. Exactly. Yep. People starting businesses, either starting brands or whatnot. Michael, what about you from the agency side?
I would say foundation there. I had some big goals for this year from a revenue perspective, and we didn't hit those, but we still grew significantly. And I've really been able to build a high quality team that's going to allow us to really ramp up and scale this year. We've been able to I would say refine. We have pretty much a process for everything, but been able to refine, bring on the people that really care. I just made some changes in the business, had some unexpected changes happen, but everything honestly worked out for the good. And I'm excited about I almost said 2020. I'm excited about 2022 because I've got such a great solid team in place that's allowed me to focus on things like being on this podcast or engaging with other people in the industry, like Chris or like Elizabeth. So yeah, I mean, it's been a good year to build a foundation and really be ready to soar and to take off.
He's also excited about UC, right?
Oh man, look at this.
UC, see that?
Man,
are you excited about UC, Michael?
I don't really care about sports.
Come on.
But so many. What's funny is I went to UC. That was my alma mater, and I was somewhere last night and they were talking about UC, and I'm just like, yep.
Okay, all right.
But I'm excited for
University of Cincinnati for people who don't know what UC is. If you're not from the Midwest,
go Bearcats! Woo!
I was gonna say for sport, that's a different podcast. I feel like we haven't facilitated, but yeah, okay. Cincinnati and things like that, local community, but also like you were talking about, Michael. I think you said hiring and things like that, like unforeseen things going on. Elizabeth, do you relate to that? Like you and your husband are running your team. Was there growth? Like what would you say is 2021 been like?
Yeah. So as far as like our business section, yeah, I would say we're in a better place than we've ever been as far as the team members go. And I hope for all of us that's improvements are just constant. It's at some point it's stacking, little tweaks here and there, and then I guess myself personally, it's been a lot of habit stacking this year, finally figuring out, okay, like intaking everything that everyone says you should do and then filtering that and realizing like what works for you and how you can make micro adjustments, and then realizing that just because somebody else says that this got them, to the next level doesn't mean it's going to get you to the next level if it drives you up a wall and takes way too much time to do that. So just a lot of personal growth. And then as far as like my little piece of the pie, which would be the Amazon advertising, I think I can sum it up in like the phrase of constant updates. I thought, the previous year it seemed like 2020 had like the most updates, and then this year it's been like constant rollouts every week. Some of those I'm like super stoked about, like the budget tab and the targeting tab. I've been personally using those a lot. So I think not only has there been a year of constant updates as far as what we can do with the ads, it's been a year of constant updates into insights, further insights with the numbers and better visuals on the ads, which I'm totally here for.
Yeah. I like to jokingly say Amazon threw a lot of death by 1,000 paper cuts this year of tweak this, change this, put a little ebb and flow on all these different things, which people had to ask a lot of questions of why are we doing this now? Or what's the point behind all this Amazon? So yeah, I would agree with that. And you, Lazar, anything from your end? I know we saw a lot of off-channel Amazon from your end and your expertise that you're focusing on. Is that, would you say, is the major focus for 2021?
Yeah, so I would say that Amazon advertising is maturing, and like when you compare Amazon advertising today to like 2 years or 3 years ago, it's completely different platform, and like everything there is completely different, and that's amazing to see because like I started doing Amazon advertising maybe 6 years ago, and like it was completely retarded, and like you couldn't do a lot of stuff there. It looked like Walmart advertising today.
Yes, it is like Walmart advertising today.
So yeah, today it's fun because it's challenging. A lot of like terms of service changed for a lot of service providers, for a lot of sellers, and so on. And like Amazon is trying to push focus on advertising more than ever before. So you can see a lot of like increase in prices for advertising. We can see a lot of like stuff like tacos going up and like CPCs going up. But for those that like know what they're doing, I'm pretty sure this is like the time to shine. So yeah, for us personally as an agency, we grew a lot. We started doing a lot of new stuff, as I mentioned, TikTok, and TikTok is a huge opportunity for e-commerce sellers because it's probably one of the cheapest way how to drive traffic, not only through ads but through influencers and through creator marketplace that TikTok is providing. So our team grew a lot from 35ish last year to 140 this year. So that's kind of fun. Like for most of the people, when like stressful times come, like they lose hair. It seems like that I'm having more and more. So yeah.
Oh wow,
You say kind of fun. That's stressful,
problem.
man.
Yeah,
As you
it's
say.
been fun. It's been fun. We work with a lot of aggregators. We're building teams for them. We're working on some internal stuff. We're building some softwares internally as well. So a lot of new stuff are coming next year from our end. So I'm really like eager to share that as soon as possible. But unfortunately, I need to like finish all the paperwork before I can do that.
all the secrets. This is the time. This is what I've learned in this space. There's a lot of time for secrets and growth. And gosh, as busy as I think that 20 or the end of the year should be, there's a lot of planning and going into like the next year. Like that's what 2020 was like for 2021. And this year, I think it's just this explosion of, oh yeah, we were working on this in mid-pandemic, and again, still are in a lot of cases. So for this next year, I guess I would open up to the floor for everyone. Has there anything been like surprising, shocking, besides any of that, or is there anything that you would say as the space kind of matures or gets back to where it was growing? Again, there's a lot of did we lose the growth cap of what COVID or 2020 yielded to the space, and now this year was like that resettling of expectations. Even though there is growth, it was kind of a downward turn in terms of like Black Friday, Cyber Monday. But even still, if you look back at traditional trajectory, we're still hitting all those marks. Is that like where does the space live right now? Like what are we excited about? What are we not excited about? Is there something that you see on the horizon that's scary? I asked like 50,000 questions right there, but
e-commerce is still the same percentage of sales, I think, or growing as in regards to the total retail market. So it ended up at like 16% at the end of the year last year. As far as I know, it still stayed that way, and Amazon's increased by a percentage point or two, and I think actually hit over the 40% mark. So I think it's growing, and I think it's also probably unfair to compare what happened this year to last year, because last year was so unique and there was a ton of opportunity for growth. I think some people missed out because they were scared and they pulled out and stopped advertising and said, well, we don't know what to do. I imagine a lot of people probably wanted to get out of their business too, and maybe sold their business. I mean, Nathan could probably speak to that more than I could, but a lot of
was
people
business good this year, Nathan?
Business was good, and a lot of people wanted to sell, during that kind of midsummer period, especially. That was like kind of the peak of everyone wanting to sell. And then, I mean, the floor kind of came out for a lot of sellers, in the kind of the late summer where people were comping next to COVID and it didn't look quite as rosy. I do think that, we peaked at like 16%, but I think it's down more like to 13 again. Because of kind of that comparable like downward trend for the last couple of months. And I see a lot of opportunity though. I think that we will go right back to kind of the same growth trajectory that we saw if you kind of just ignore 2020.
Are you saying for Perch specifically?
No, I think overall for e-commerce.
E-commerce.
Backtrack me for that. But I think I saw something about it going back to roughly around 13%, which is where it lived prior to COVID, essentially.
I mean, to pivot off your stat, Michael, it's just getting started. I mean, everybody tell this, I think I say this 5 times a day, is all of this is just getting started. And obviously Amazon's going to own most of it, right? And so we're in 14, just the 14th country, right? Egypt. And then, I mean, we're just, and these are
20 marketplaces.
I'm sorry.
I'm going to add 6 to your thing. Yeah. Operation.
It's 14 countries, right? Or is it, I don't know, whatever. But
actually 2 more just got added. I just got an update.
They keep going. Well, a lot of them. So to that point, a lot of them actually do overlap in different areas. Like Egypt was just announced the most recent one, but that overlaps with UAE. That overlaps with Saudi Arabia. So again, a lot of same markets that are
in Turkey
overlapping.
Too. But Amazon hasn't kicked Mercado Libre's ass yet. In Brazil. And now all that's coming. And if I may, the heads on this program are. Be leading the charge for that and or leading the teams that make that happen in part, so again, kind of just the opportunity. Your question was, I don't know what your question was, but I don't know if that added to it, but it was just, it's just getting started, I guess is my point. So
yeah,
go ahead, Elizabeth.
Oh, I was just going to say on that, I definitely agree with what everyone's saying on that, the trajectory is growth for that on Amazon. What I'm seeing is it seems like there's 2 camps, those who rise to the occasion and those who bemoan what they used to be able to do in the past and just can't seem to get over that. And unfortunately, it's the second camp that's probably not going to be able to stick it long term. They might sell out because at least they're okay now, but they kind of see the writing on the wall and aren't really interested to rise to that, so they're just going to cash out. Or there's the ones that realize that this is a game of constant adjustment and they're okay with, reevaluating their listings every couple months now because the market's changing so quickly. So I think now more than ever, it's important to realize that there is growth. And I think if you can ride that and you can stick with it, then you're going to make out very well. But if you don't learn how to play the game and you're just not interested in getting back into it, then maybe it's probably best to cash out when you can.
Yeah, I saw an interesting video the other. I would reference the person, but it was on YouTube. Person's successful. I think he did the AMZ sellers course or AMZ.com or amazing.com. Anyways, the person who is speaking about that is this might be the Nathan. I think you share this too. Maybe I'll give you credit where this is this might be the beginning of a new Wild West that we saw back in 2014-15 of people come on to Amazon, they can't be successful or the costs are too high or they don't outlast such growth hurdles in terms of like supply chain logistics, everything like that. We did supply chain, we said opportunity foundation, all those things that a lot of people are talking about. I just can't outlast that. But then we take it to those people will now go to a different marketplace like a Mercado Libre or Walmart or something like that. And then back to the people who survived. Now it's just open green spaces on Amazon. Do we as a group see that as a potential going back to the old days of even though you can operate on Amazon and there won't be as much competition, even though people say, oh, there's competition all over the place. But those people, if they don't last, they'll just go somewhere else. Then you're back to, I might be one of 3 people in this category. now it's the Wild West all over again, and we're just making this complete cycle all over again, just a little bit higher spend. Is that ring true to anyone, or anyone have any insights to?
I feel like it's a completely new set of problems.
What do you mean by that? Yeah, well, what do you mean by that, Lazar?
Well, when you're growing your business, you kind of like try to overcome your current problems, and like when you do that, like they're not your problems anymore, and like you end up like having like bigger ones, and so on. And like I feel like that the Amazon sellers are more and more aware of like that they need to build a brand, like a solid brand that is available on like multi-channel platforms, like not only on Amazon. I see a lot of people moving to Shopify stores as well, which is great. You shouldn't keep all the eggs in one basket, definitely. And like it's well worth it to consider not to just like place random product on Amazon and hope that you're gonna sell everything. It's time to maybe consider to build a stable, solid brand and sell some quality goods there. And that's something that we as an agency see as a trend currently with our clients, that more and more of them are considering to do all of the branding stuff that are really necessary when you want to build something long lasting and stable. Because there are
anything. Oh, go ahead.
No, go for it.
I was going to agree with you, and I was going to say if COVID taught brands anything, it should have taught them that they need to be omni-channel. As much as I'm, in the Amazon space and, developing a service for Walmart.com, but, very marketplace focused, like you need to have a brand that has its own store on whatever platform, Shopify, Magento, doesn't matter. And yes, there are some, I think I've seen at least, people that want to jump into multiple spaces from a service provider perspective. And they're like, oh, we do Shopify. Yeah, we can do Amazon. And they can't really do Amazon very well because it's a different platform. And so you have to have specialists in those platforms that help you. And I think you should also be in store too. Majority of retail right now is still being purchased in stores. It's going to look different. It's going to change. It's going to evolve. But you need to be, as a brand, you need to be where your customers are, and they're in multiple spots, and you want them to have multiple touch points with your brand. We know that majority of people go to Amazon first just to do product research, but they could be in store doing product research and deciding whether or not they're going to buy your brand. It could be on your website that they're then saying, okay, I'll go buy direct from the website, or they could be, just loyal Amazon consumers, and that's where they go. But you have to hit those people in multiple touch points. So if you're not thinking omni-channel right now, and you aren't at least moving into, more than one channel, you're missing the boat, and you need to get started and start investing in that ASAP.
Yeah. To go off of that, we have a product called Baby Merlin. It's one of my favorite products. Like puts your baby to sleep immediately. It's like the best thing. It's like a sleep suit, almost like a straitjacket for him. And I live in New York on 44th Street, just up the street or just down the street from Saks Fifth Avenue. And I walked into the store and was able to see precisely where that product is going to be, in Saks Fifth. And it's like for our entrepreneurs that are feeling that, where you get to put it in brick and mortar, there's like, if you're exhausted by Amazon, which I think a lot of entrepreneurs are, seeing your product in brick and mortar, like not only is like obviously a huge business opportunity for you, but it just like redoubles your passion and commitment. You just like it invigorates you and makes you want to kind of hit the ground running. One other thing to go off of what Lazar was saying is I also think like it's going to be interesting to understand the impact of what long-term impacts of aggregators in how people are selling or building their business early right now. So people do want to build a brand because they understand a brand is going to get you a better multiple. Like you understand that it can't just be keyword arbitrage and like in products. You really have to build that brand. You have to go omni-channel, but not for the width of omni-channel, but for depth in omni-channel. So the things that you're successful in, go deep in that, and show and prove out the business case there. And show an opportunity for growth. And people are doing that, I think, now. thinking like, how can I build my business for exit? And I think that's going to change the type of businesses that we see on Amazon over the next 3 to 5 years.
That's a good place to put it. Quickly before I let you guys go, and my next wave of guests are popping up and dinging in my ear. Final words or any thoughts of the final year? What are you all focused, like excited about for the last couple of weeks of the year, and what's your major focus going into 2022? Nathan?
Yeah, good question. I think a lot of things. I'm excited for the holiday season to end because I think it's going to be an exciting time for sellers to kind of, brush off the dust, and kind of come back, or just kind of go from being exhausted, catch their breath, and say, okay, time to sell now. Because I think a lot of people have been heads down trying to get through the holiday season, and so I'm excited for those conversations. Supply chain is going to continue to be a headache for everyone. The one thing I like to say is that if you don't have it kind of generally on your calendar, in July, the West Coast Longshoremen's Union has a contract that's expiring. And so there is a very strong potential for a labor dispute, potentially strike on the West Coast. And that's going to impact everyone. And so just put that on your calendar. It could happen. And, if you're a brand owner, be prepared that the summer could be just as challenging as the winter this year.
Yeah, not ideal, but something definitely to take note of. Chris?
I am. I think the question was, what am I focused on? I'm going to unplug over the holidays. It's going to be physically. I'm going to have to physically unplug myself, but that's what I'm looking forward to. But
love it, Michael.
I'd second that. I'm looking forward to spending some time with my family, making a Christmas old fashioned. Which, if you want to know,
I do know. I do want that.
Okay, yeah. It's a.
Send one to me, please.
I made a special.
Send it to me.
I made a special Christmas simple syrup. Anyway, I'm just looking forward to relaxing, and I'm confident that things are going to continue to grow next year, and they're going to grow as they need to. And I'm excited for just the future, but I'm looking forward to just chilling.
Sounds good. Elizabeth, you and your humongous family, I love it. Hang out with them, right?
Huh?
You're great. You're a huge family that you guys have. I'm assuming spending time with them.
Yes, that's gonna be a hoot and a half. For those who don't know, I have 6 kids, so just on our own, we have a little horde going on.
I don't even know.
And
you
guys
run a business?
you can field a basketball team and a 6-man. So again, congrats to you guys. No, it's awesome. No, seriously. What are you guys looking forward to?
Yeah, that's pretty much what I'm looking for. My twin boys are 3 years old this year, and I got them ginormous dump trucks, so that's going to be absolutely hilarious and fun to watch them run around with. So yeah, just looking forward to unplugging, spending time with family, chilling for a couple days, and then getting right back on it.
Amazing. Lazar?
Well,
he has it.
Well,
that's all right.
Exactly the same as everybody else. I'm really looking forward to Christmas and holidays, and to get a couple of days of good sleep, because we want to do a lot of stuff next year, so I need to get some rest. And I'm pretty sure that all of the Amazon sellers, I really love Amazon sellers, to be honest, because the energy that they have is something unique, and the ability to change and to adapt to all the situations. I'm pretty sure everything is going to be all right the next year as well, because they're not alone in that situation. All of the problems are affecting everybody. So yeah.
Well, thank you so much for everyone who
Thanks, Ryan.
I'm gonna for hopping in. I got my next wave. Thank you so much for spending some time
having me, man.
Happy holidays, everybody.
Absolutely.
Congrats
Thank you
again.
guys for coming on. We appreciate it. Let me go ahead and get the next wave of people on here. Again, everyone, this is Crossover Commerce episode 200. If you can't read at the bottom, or if you're new and just tuning in, this is my corner of the internet where I bring the best and brightest in the Amazon e-commerce space. You saw that from my first wave of people. Now it's on to wave number 2. I want to bring on with me. Let me go ahead and bring on my people. I feel like I thought it was quite a bit. I have Abe, I have Marcus. Unplug you. Where am I going? Unmute people. Vargas and Yana, you have to unmute yourself. All right. What's up, guys? How are we all doing?
Good.
All good here.
Good to see everybody.
Yeah, Abe's been chilling in the background. He's just working away and just listening along. So I appreciate everyone tuning in today. Yana, as you saw, we just had Lazar on, so I couldn't get you guys in the same time slot. I was really trying to get that to work out.
I mean, we're not in the same place, so it's fine.
I know. No, it's all good. Hey, thanks for crew for hopping on today. Like with the last group, this is kind of the holiday edition. It's not really serious. I just wanted to get people's insights and get a wide array of people. You were some of the brightest people in the space. So I just want for people who are listening or don't know who you are, which is kind of crazy to think that they wouldn't, but if they don't, maybe we can start and go around the virtual room, if you will, and quick introductions. Abe, can you get us kicked off, please?
Yeah, sure. So my name is Abe Shamali. I have an Amazon advertising agency called XP Strategy, although to be fair, everyone just says that they're advertising with me. I don't think anybody knows the name of my agency at this point. I work with a range of sellers of all sizes, of all selling types, whether it's wholesale or private label, which I think makes me a little bit unique. I feel like most of the space is dedicated to private label these days. And I think I know most of the people here. I've vacationed with the people here. I've done business with the people here. And I'm looking forward to seeing what everybody's got to say over the next half hour.
Me too. Hopefully, yeah, I have a long way away, but I'm excited to hear what other people. Barkus, you switched jobs on me throughout this podcast journey. You were at Helium 10, but now you're at Emergent. For people who haven't seen you, I was joking about this in the first half hour. I'm gonna have a 5 timers club because I feel like for a lot of you, people keep coming back on and repeat. I'm gonna start making jackets or T-shirts or something like that.
Yeah.
Who are
if I get a jacket, I'll come back.
That's your requirement now.
Only if I get some swag.
If I get swag, I will return. So no, that's
yeah.
You're different than your office. Where are you at today?
My office has been commandeered by some teenage boys. My son had a sleepover last night, so they're all upstairs because that's the furthest away from everybody else. I'm like, you guys can be loud, you can do whatever up there, just don't come downstairs. So yeah, so I'm outside, back patio. Good.
Oh man, that's hilarious. So yeah, give a quick background and intro if you would for us.
Yeah. So Barkus Patty, I am head of growth of Emergent, a new Amazon aggregator. I spent the past 6 years at different Amazon software companies. Always enjoyed that time there, and so yeah, I've sold off and on Amazon for those years as well, and a couple other marketplaces, and I'm ramping up to launch a new brand in Q1, not in January, but probably February, March. So,
this is the one we were talking about.
Yeah, that and another thing. So, but yes.
Ooh, all right, secrets. We're gonna talk about that right now. First, before I get to Destiny and Yana, I want to give a quick. I saw this comment come through from Lazar, who's just on here. He says, "Hold on." I love Yana and Destiny's matching swag. I didn't even catch that you both had matching sweatshirts until just now. So I have to know the story quickly before we go on any further.
There's no story. We're just so much alike and in sync that we should.
God bless. All right. I have the most amazing crew of people that just like they call each other before they go on the same podcast. I love it. So, Destiny, if people don't know you, which again they should, can you give us a little background by yourself? This is awesome.
Yeah. So formerly Yana and Lazar's best friend with all the matching merch is probably the most important aspect. Also great friends with Abe. I've spent a lot of time with Abe over the last 2 months. So that's how most people probably know me. But I do Amazon advertising and DSP. And I'm just here to have a good time with all my friends. That's my goal.
I love this. Yana, same here. Can you give us a quick intro of yourself?
Yeah, I'm just a copy paste from Destiny, basically. Best friends with Destiny. Yeah, I have a great time with Abe at his birthday dinner in London. Unfortunately, Marcus, I haven't seen you in a while, but hopefully that will change soon. And you, Ryan, finally. I have never met you in person. That's just the weirdest thing ever.
Speaking of that, everyone who's going to appear today, I've only had, or on the past 200 episodes, I've only met one person in person on the podcast. I do this
Rob.
I haven't even met Rob in person, believe it or not. For this group, I've not met Rob in person. So it's gonna be jarring. It's gonna be something where I'm gonna meet people in person, and they're gonna be bigger, taller, shorter. I don't know what it's gonna be, but it's my perceptions is all screen, shoulder up. That's it. No, Henson Wu is the only person I met in person, believe it or not. Random, maybe, but it was back in 2019. Yeah, that was when who I met had been on this podcast. I don't think anyone else in person yet. So that's going to change in 2022 for sure. But Yana, I had you on recently on an episode. I feel like I've had a lot of you on. Destiny, we need to get you on episode because you come on for group sessions like this all the time. So I need to change that. But this is a holiday edition. I want to have a lot of fun. You guys come from a lot of like advertising, international growth perspectives, software solutions, things like that. What was the most, if you had to summarize 2021, maybe like a sentence or a phrase or a couple phrases, how would you do that? Abe, I'll start with you.
So I got half an hour to think of this while Lazar and everybody else was running the first time. I had one answer, but I'm going to change it. I think that the thing that has changed the most is very simply top of search. Up until now, organic has been the lion's share of sales for most sellers, and we've been able to attack advertising by putting people all over the place without necessarily needing to be aggressive up front. In 2021, we have seen that flipped, and advertising takes up so much more of the top of the page that even if you're number one organic, other people who are just paying to be on top can push you away and steal sales from you that you should be having. So top of search is number one focus, and I guess connected to that is diversity of traffic, because top of search is really expensive. So if you're not careful about it, it will eat up every dollar you're making with your sales. So be on top to get the traffic initially, but then diversify that traffic to bring down costs a bit.
Oh, we lost Destiny for a second. No, those are great. Marcus, what about yourself? If you had to summarize 2021, how would you do?
I love Abe's comment about diversity of traffic. I've always been a fan of brands that bring traffic from different points of social media, building their own audiences, also utilizing that on top of Amazon's own internal advertising system. So I love that. I think that 2021 has shown us that the brands that are like planning where they want their brand to be in 5 to 10 years are the ones that that made the best of everything, right? So there's things that are just that you couldn't describe to somebody a year ago, like continuing pandemic issues, supply chain issues. Like there's things that just money can't solve. And I think the brands that plan, like, hey, where do I want this brand to be in 5 years, and write out a goal, like write it out in 10 years, like whether you want to sell it or keep it forever and hand it off to your kids, like those are the brands that have weathered the storm the best, and nobody's immune to it. When Amazon's building their own shipping containers, Walmart is chartering their own vessels, it's not, all these issues aren't immune to any brand out there in the world. So I think everybody understanding that planning just at a high level is what I think. And I say that, let me add like a little context. Like 5 years ago, you could just dump money into a product and then throw it on Amazon. You could dump a bunch of money into Facebook ads and Amazon advertising, and you could just rank the product, right? So it's a lot more calculated than that these days. So that's what I mean by planning. It's just a little bit harder, but a bit more tactical.
Yeah, I love that. Destiny, I would think you would be very similar to what Abe was saying about advertising, or is there anything different that really stands out for you?
I think I can piggyback off of both of those in that the whole industry's changed quite a bit. I mean, we've seen more competition than ever before, just in terms of search cost and bigger brands finally having full e-commerce Amazon adoption, combined with, supply chain issues, changes in terms of service, and changes in cost and margins. And anyone who's looking at Amazon as a passive income strategy probably should, move on to the next fad, because it is much more competitive in a good way. It's really going to play to the advantage of people who are brand building and looking for long-term opportunities to truly invest in building an audience, looking at what they can do on the external traffic side, and really just, thinking a lot bigger. So I think it's been absolutely crazy. Amazon's released more ad types, more changes, I think, than probably ever before. And if you can't keep up now, I don't think it's going to slow down at any point in time.
Right. There's a bigger hurdle that's creating with advertising, and now you have to keep up with it in that regards too. I have a point that I wanted to make too, that we'll get back to in terms of like optional versus like Amazon's statement with PPC, and I'm curious what your guys' take is on that. But Yana, what about you for 2021? Is there something that really stood out to you that really sinks in if you had to recap it in one sentence?
Yeah, I'll definitely also need to piggyback off like what everyone said, and that means that a lot of sellers are becoming really like I would say like more serious brands that are definitely investing more in their brands, maximizing on them, and we've been working with more and more brands like those, especially those who want to expand internationally, are becoming like more serious about that. And even Amazon made like the hugest change we've seen in the last like 4 years when it comes to international marketplaces, and that is that Amazon has made it possible for different images to be presented in specific countries, which means that you no longer have to show global images, but you can localize them and have different images for different countries. That's like one of the biggest changes that's ever happened in terms of global sales, like of Amazon, after making all reviews global. And I just think that also is becoming more and more difficult. And as Destiny said, like if you're looking to make like a passive income from Amazon, just kind of forget about it and do something else, because it's becoming more and more challenging. But in terms of like selling international, for instance, we've seen a huge change in terms of who wants to expand international, and those are like some bigger and more evolved brands than what we would usually get 2 years ago. And ever since COVID, that change was very very visible.
Gotcha. No, those are all great points, and I appreciate all those kind of insights. Going back, I want to go back to a report I read recently. Amazon's, again, there was a third-party report that came out of like sellers are paying anywhere from like 34% to 33% of their revenue in terms of fees. And when Amazon's response back to that was, those are all optional costs of, and I believe in that was FBA as well as PPC optional cost. I say optional because that was the word that got me of, if Amazon looks at PPC as optional, I bet you I can go up to every single person I've ever had on this podcast and say, is PPC optional on Amazon? And Abe and Destiny, I'm assuming you would say, what to me? Is it optional anymore to be successful on Amazon?
So every cost is optional. You can technically be in business without spending on that. So to that extent, it is optional. It is definitely required to get the best results, and it's definitely required to get even medium-sized results. But at the same time, everybody here knows of examples of people that are killing it without Amazon advertising. There are brands that are social media focused first, and they just throw up an Amazon listing because they know that people come there, and they just start selling without any advertising. So in that example, it's definitely optional. Of course, that doesn't apply to most sellers. Most sellers can't ship things themselves at scale. They can't do it fast. They can't promote themselves without Amazon systems. So on one hand, yes, Amazon systems make it easy and are almost required. On the other hand, yes, you can get by without anything that Amazon offers. So, it's one way to look at it.
Gotcha.
Technically, they're right, and technically, they're not right.
I would also throw out that that's the price you pay to get in front of Amazon's audience. Everyone always likes to talk about building off platform or building your Shopify, which is 100% a great route to, diversify risk and to build your own brand, build your own audience. But the beauty of Amazon is you do have to pay a certain price, and then you, in exchange, get a strong, high purchase intent audience. It's not that easy externally. Even if you do build an audience and you have amazing ads going on Facebook, Instagram, and things like that, the purchase intent isn't near as high. So there's trade-offs in all things. And I would say, like Abe mentioned, that it is optional. You can try running with FBM and all these other factors, but if you really want to succeed, you're paying to utilize the brand and the audience that Amazon's built.
Right. To be successful is one thing. Obviously, people can figure out those roundabout ways, but you need to be in front of Amazon's intent audience of purchase history, purchase intent. You need to have a good program in place of using PPC. You need to be on FBA. There's all these percentages that say if it's not FBA versus FBM, you're going to lose the audience and so on and so forth. So is that where Amazon's going to start facilitating people in this notion of you're going to play by our rules, and if you don't, then just try to find something else that we don't, that's going to have the same power and audience and buyer intent that we have cultivated? Is that where you're going to start seeing more and more sellers being pushed, Barkus? Or do you think that there's going to be sellers that are like, this is not worth it anymore, we're just going to go sell exclusively on Walmart and that's it? Or I don't think it's that crazy, is it?
I mean, I'm sure there'll be some outlier examples. It's like Abe mentioned, like there are some outliers of people absolutely crushing it on just one marketplace. Like there's examples of people, doing 6 figures on Etsy and doing multiple 6 figures on Walmart and so on and so on. So I think there's just going to be a good mixture of both. Like there's people that can handle the pressure of the issues and that arise with Amazon, and every marketplace has their own issues, right? But it's just like, what are you prepared to handle? So I think that, I say this all the time, that there's the people that are most successful on Amazon are very analytically minded, right? Because you can look at PPC and you can look at Amazon business reports and you can make some sense of what's happening, right? You can kind of look at all that. And I think that creative people kind of lean more towards D2C and social media because they're very creative and they can create posts and there's stuff like that. So, I don't know. That's a long way of saying there's going to be a mixture of both.
Yeah. I do agree with your original point, though, Ryan, that Amazon has more power than ever before, and they can now create their own rules. In the beginning, it was, hey, let's be the everything store. Let's give everyone the opportunity to throw up products. And they needed to have a ton of options to really build that consumer loyalty and that fan base and trust. And now fast forward to where we're at now, everyone and anyone knows who Amazon is. So they can actually start building their own rules. And now it doesn't really do them a lot of good to have 300 knockoff products. Instead, they want the best of everything store. So they're really trying to shift focus to the products that do serve their customers best. And if you don't want to play by those rules, build your own platform. And I think that's where they are pushing people. And I think, omnichannel is going to be a very big role to play in the future. But also, yes, Amazon is going to be, locking down on those benefits because they have the loyalty and the trust of their fan base now.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say that I was just listening to it was actually Helium 10 podcast, and they had one seller. I think her name was Melissa, and she had 2 7-figure brands. She exited both of them, and she was saying that she never ever used Amazon PPC. It's never ever used them, and it was very, very interesting. And I know it doesn't work for all the sellers or all the categories. It really depends on your niche, but it was very interesting to also hear that approach. Not saying that's something that you shouldn't use PPC or not, but I'm saying that there are people and they make it work for them. So that's very interesting, definitely.
Yeah, I would agree. Again, nothing is of all the things. I don't mean to say that that's my stance on it. I think it's an interesting take on as sellers just start to evolve, as businesses start to grow, as brands become really big and focused on Amazon. A lot of people, even just today, have said omni-channel growth opportunities in different capacities. What does that look like? Amazon's always going to be a center and a staple in that. But in terms of growth opportunity, I know, Yana, you were talking about just international expansion and an opportunity there too. A lot of people look at that. So what does 2021 look like for this group as brands continue to grow and develop? Are we excited about anything specific? Has there been stuff that's Amazon's teased about that we're waiting to see come to fruition? I know I asked 5 questions there, but Abe, is there anything that you're really hoping that would happen in 2021 or 2022? Good Lord, gotta get my years right.
Oh boy, there's a lot of questions there. I'm not even sure which one to attack.
Take which one and run with it.
All right. So I feel like the international one is really Yana's specialty, but I will say this. Um, for the clients that I work with, I would say that if you're going to go international, do it with focus. So Yana's business is creating content for international marketplaces, and the clients that I've sent over to her have done well with content that's optimized. Even if you're an American seller branching into the UK, tweaking your content for UK English will make a difference in your conversion rates. And don't run things through Google Translate. Don't throw up the same images, especially now that Amazon is going to let you put up images that are separate for each marketplace. Take advantage of lifestyle images that reflect the country your product is in. Take advantage of titles and all the other parts that are not butchered English or butchered whatever language you're in. And that should lead to a lot better success. From the PPC end, I can tell you that the number one driver of good results is high quality content. If you have a good product, that's going to lead to good PPC performance and to good sales, all the more so when we're talking about international markets. I forgot all the rest of the questions, so
That's okay.
I'll quit while I'm ahead.
They weren't as important as that one. Barkus, what about you? Growth opportunities in 2022. What's a big focus for you think that we need to pay attention to, I think?
Growth opportunities. Oh man. Yeesh. Okay, so I think that this is my kind of my default answer all the time, but I think it's underserved in our community is building lists. Like, I'm not talking about creating YouTube channels and creating video content, but just learning how to effectively build external lists, whether that is a VIP program, a loyalty member program, warranty registration. Like, if you learn how to do that, you're going to build an audience over time. And learning how to do that does a couple of things, like building these audiences. You have a little bit of leverage. You can decide where they want to go. You'll still send most of your traffic to Amazon, but at the same time, you're going to learn more about your core demographic of people that want to buy your product and why they want to buy the product and what does it serve them best. So you just understand your customers better so you can make better products, but you're also you're starting to build an ecosystem of your own. And at that point, you can decide, if I want to launch on Walmart, well, now I have 25,000 engaged people in an email list that I built over 3 years, and I can tell them I'm launching on Walmart.com. So it just gives you leverage and just understanding your core demographic better.
Destiny, what about yourself? Team focused on anything particular? Are you excited about? Has Amazon teased anything specifically to you that you need to tell us on this podcast to look out for?
Be very on top of your creative game. I think on the ad type aspect of Amazon advertising, they are looking to release a lot that will help you better portray your brand on platform with more than your generic sponsored ad and listing image. So that's probably the biggest thing I would recommend people to stay on top of. And then secondly, Amazon's releasing a lot in terms of just giving us more data. So they've now released brand metrics, which actually overlays the organic data and your advertising data to help give you category comparisons based on like overall category, subcategory, which can really help you gauge where you stand in relation to your subcategory competitors. So if you're running PPC and you have a high ACOS, go look at your brand metrics. And if you're converting much less than all of your competitors, probably shouldn't be driving additional traffic to that page until you improve your listings. So those are my two biggest call outs.
Awesome. And Yana, what about yourself for 2022? Anything?
Yeah, as Abe really got a really good point over there, and thank you so much for that great feedback. It's really important to have a game plan, like when you expand internationally. Just don't be like, my best-selling product here is definitely going to be the best-selling product in Germany. Like, why do you think that's going to happen? Because a lot of times that's actually not true. So what I suggest to people going international, and we've seen a very that's been trending for the last year and a half, like people just wanting to maximize on their brand. They're like, we'll just take internationally. Like, you should go and check brand analytics, see how much this popular product is popular. Check Black Box and Helium 10, see the revenues, and it's really not that hard to plan, but not a lot of sellers seem to pay attention to that. But as I said, don't use Google Translate and all of that. But what I've seen as a really big change is that we were called by Amazon to do a a beta program for some of their sellers in the US and do actual proper translations which are optimized. So that makes me think that Amazon also wants to go in the right way when it comes to international expansion. I'm just going to push people to go there and then serve Launchpad program, which actually means getting automated translation, and then people don't get a lot of sales and they get disappointed. So, I mean, I'm just going to say bottom line, whatever you do in terms of international selling, just basically do analysis, do product research, market research. You don't have to spend a lot of money on that, but just you can do like a lot of things on your own, or your assistant can do it for you. But make sure that you do have the right product for different marketplaces, because not all of your best-selling products will be best-selling products in other marketplaces as well.
I love that recap. And wherever one of you is, there's a massive like emergency. Someone's in trouble somewhere. So I hear sirens in the background all over. So hopefully none of you are in trouble wherever you're at. But hey, I want to thank you both, each of you personally, and thank
I'm
you.
actually in jail. This is a back.
I was gonna say, Yana,
you have amazing reception in jail, man.
Blink twice if you are in trouble. My God. No, hopefully all of you are safe wherever you're at. No, I want to thank you each personally for coming on. I know it reached out to you and you didn't have to say yes, but I want to thank you so much for just spending some time. I know it's a super busy time of year for a lot of you, just finishing up the holiday year on a high note. I can't wait to meet you all in person and talk with you like we have been on this podcast and off channel too. So just thank you so much and for coming on today. I can't thank you more. For being a part of this journey.
Oh yeah, thanks for having us. It was a lot of fun.
Thank it always is.
Congratulations.
Yes,
thank you guys.
absolutely.
Thank you.
It's a big deal.
I know. Well, some people tell me that. I'm just glad I'm employed somewhere. So, thank God, right? So at the end of the day, it's the little things. Staying employed in 2021. So thanks, guys. We'll talk to you guys later. Awesome. Again, everyone else, thank you so much. Just want to reset the room real quick for episode 200 before my next wave of people coming back on. This is episode 200. If this is the first time or the 200th time you've joined Crossover Commerce, I appreciate you tuning in on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Twitter. I have asked a ton of people to be a part of this and see if they have some time of their day to hop on this podcast, which I call my corner of the internet, where I bring the best and brightest in the Amazon and e-commerce space. A lot of people said yes. Some people are just so busy that they couldn't hop on. Some people are like, hey, I'm going to hop in whenever I can. Just want to thank those people. Again, the first half, we're halfway through. I feel like I did this episode in 1 hour is a lot for people. We're going to do 2 hours today just so I can thank and get lots of different end of year recaps from people who are just way smarter than me in the Amazon and e-commerce space, logistics space, marketing, wherever you want to touch. We're going to, that's why I invited them on. And that's why I have this podcast so I can learn and other people can learn as well. That being said, just want to give a quick shout out to PingPong Payments, again, presenting sponsor. PingPong Payments helping people save time, money, and effort by saving and sending money internationally or receiving funds on different marketplaces on Amazon. You can go to usa.pingpongx.com/podcast for more information. So when, sorry, there's a lot going on in the background. If you're looking at me and you're laughing, I have like 20 people waiting for me in the bottom. Just want to go ahead and invite people on. Next wave of our podcast, our next group, if I have this correctly, I'm going to just start bringing them on here. I have another Santa in the house. And sorry, I'm laughing because I don't see these people until they hop on for the full time. So, and I think and hi, Paul. Sorry, Paul, I have you too. Look at this. It's like the Brady Bunch over here. I need to remove some things because there's so many people here.
See the glory of my shirt here.
I love it. So
that's beautiful.
Guys, this is the second Santa I've had on, which is perfect. I was told not to wear anything holiday. Like my wife, who I enjoy, obviously, who I like throw everything off. She goes, make this about your 200, not about holiday. And I said, I don't know if my people will adhere to that, but sounds good. I'm going to go in the center of this. I want to feel like the Brady Bunch here. Francois, you get to go on the top left. So that being said, thank you guys for tuning in. I have Emma from Marketing by Emma, Troy Johnson from Seller Tools, Lisa, and Santa from Novaland / God, I can't stop laughing. Brock, thank you so much. And Paul, thank you so much for hopping on as well. How is everyone doing?
Doing good.
Great.
Everyone's festive. I love this. This is the right time of year to do that. Say that again. I have somebody in the background that's just
I don't know.
Who is that? No one's talking.
It's the ghost of Christmas past.
It's exactly.
My podcast, once you get 200, I guess you just have like random people that starts talking in the background. No one else is on here, so I don't know what that is. Interesting. We'll just move on with that. How the first half has gone, I want to thank you all. You've all been past guests on the podcast, so I just want to thank you so much for coming on, just to give a little insight and kind of recap 2021, looking forward to 2022. Tell me, let's start with my top left. Francois, what just quick introduction for yourself, if people haven't heard of you before. Obviously I've heard of Santa Claus.
Well, they certainly wouldn't recognize him, that's for sure.
Wouldn't recognize him. Anyways, if you can, maybe Lisa, you and Francois together, you guys can, since you guys co-host a podcast together, who are you guys?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. Some might call us the Santa Claus of supply chain. I don't know. That's just a word that's being tossed out there. But I'm the director of business development here at Noviland, and Lisa is taking over our marketing department actually over here at Noviland. And we also co-host the Link Up Leaders podcast, where we've had a lot of the same guests that you've had, different conversations, and we talk all things e-commerce and supply chain at the same time. But yeah, ultimately we just work with supply chain start to finish, from manufacturing, sourcing, production, logistics, warehousing, fulfillment, last mile delivery, the whole 9 yards essentially. And that's sort of why we like to hear about the other side of the aisle, the marketing, the everything that the sellers really get into before or after they're actually planning out their supply chain.
Exactly. And you didn't mention not just a lot of the same guests, a lot of the people on this screen have been on our show. We're surrounded by friends. Hi, everybody.
And
I
did this on purpose, guys. It's just like happy family reunion.
It seemed very intentional. Yes. What are the holidays for if not bringing everybody together?
Exactly.
If I would show you my desk, it was a schedule coordination of like, I can't show, but it's like this nasty.
Oh,
right, this person's here. Like they're all friends. Like they can talk together, right?
It's like coming up with a seating chart for a wedding. It's like, who's going to fight? Who's going to get along? How can we do this?
That's right. Hopefully no one fights here on the podcast.
Yeah.
Right?
Why didn't you actually bring some, antagonistic relationships here? Because I think that would really be spicy.
That's for episode 300, Emma. Come on. You know the processes.
You need an angry elf. You need an angry elf or two.
An angry elf, yes.
That's what we have you here for, Paul.
I felt like that was a perfect joke for Emma.
I know.
I mean, elf-sized and all.
She is tiny but mighty. Okay, I would not
tiny
cross
but mighty.
Thank you, Elisa.
But you're not angry. You're always happy. Although I do owe you a reply in WhatsApp. So if you're angry at me, that is excusable.
All smiles here.
No, I love that.
I thought those were the middle fingers. You only did 2. I was like, uh-oh.
Yeah. Guys, this is a family show for people watching, and YouTube will kick me out if I start cursing up a storm here. But anyways, Paul, since you were talking, give us a quick intro of yourself. Love the sweater. I was told to tease this too. I created my own ugly Christmas sweater. So if you're listening to this and you want to know what it looks like, it's pretty funny. But follow me on social media. That was a good idea by my wife. She said you should tease it on her podcast and tell them to follow you on social media. So you have to subscribe to the podcast. But that's my tease.
Okay, I'll have to check it out. So what do? I've been in the marketing space, digital marketing, since about 2008. And so everything that I do kind of revolves around brand marketing, brand building. We do a lot with chatbots. I started Chat Marketing University. Actually, it was Messenger Bot University in 2018. And so since then, I've been teaching people how to use chatbots. Maybe a little bit annoyingly, like people invite me places and they'll be like, "What do you want to talk about?" I'm like, "I don't know. Let's talk chatbots. That sound good?" So I do a lot with chatbots and influencer marketing. Because ultimately, the way that I look at chatbots is just a means to an end. It's just a method of building an audience. And it's an effective method because, or at least in social media, rates are generally cheaper running traffic through a bot. Say like Instagram, for example, we're doing a case study now with ManyChat. We've gotten 400 or 500 applicants for our brand ambassador program in the last 2 weeks. For it's so cheap too. It's crazy. So that's what I do. I kind of tinker in my business, test stuff out, and then start doing it in other people's businesses in the chat agency. So
that's awesome.
Not a super in-depth description, but
well, you've been on too, and I told this too. For the people who have come on multiple times of the show, Paul, you've been on I think 3 times or so. We're going to start having a 5-timers club on the podcast, so we start getting jackets and things like that once we start to hit 5, because I know Emma and Troy, they come on like every major episode here. they're getting up there too. So everyone who keeps coming back, that's my incentive to get people to come back, is start getting like tease out merch, or they don't come back at all. Barkus told me, he goes, yeah, if I get something, then I'll think about coming back on. So
he's holding out for the bribe.
Thanks, Barkus. Yeah, he's holding out for the jacket or the bribes to come back on. So that being said, Emma, thank you for saying yes and coming back on podcast. You were back on 100. So thanks for coming back on 200. You're like Troy. You have to come on every 100.
Yeah, I'm going to be really disappointed if on 400 I don't get an invite, Ryan. So
God, I hope we make it there.
I'm already going to be counting the days.
Yeah. God, at this point, man, at this juncture, that may be next summer by 400. We might somehow do like 2 a day just so we get to 400 by the summer. But
Holy
if I make
moly.
it there,
That's a rapid pace. I salute your commitment, because
someone's got to do it.
Ryan is built different. I don't know how he does it every week.
Yeah, guys, some of us like to stay employed. That's the goal here. So
and there's others of us who are like, screw that. I don't need a job.
Yeah. I want to stay unemployed by anyone else except me.
Exactly. No, Emma, sorry to hijack your intro. For people who don't know you, or if you haven't listened in 100 episodes, what have you been up to with the agency and whatnot?
Yeah, so my name's Emma Shermer-Tamir. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Marketing by Emma. We create conversion spiking commerce. Oh my gosh, I'm rusty, guys. Conversion spiking copy for e-commerce businesses, Amazon listings, website copy, all those texts that you need to be able to really effectively communicate with, engage, and convert your dream customers. And we've just been toiling away on the business. We kind of went on a wild and crazy fall roadshow of events. And I must say, I've now been home for 2 weeks straight, and I'm just so excited to be able to dig into all the things that have been lingering, that have required that solid focus that I've had to sort of bite my, I'm really bad at those expressions. Bite my something, I think is some sort of phrase that people say.
Bide your time, bite your tongue. One of those things.
Well, maybe both of those at times. But anyway, hopefully you get my point.
I do. No, 2 weeks straight, man. I don't think I've left my house in years. No, I'm just kidding. That's not the case. No, 2 weeks at home straight. That's nice. Obviously, I don't know if anyone's traveling for the holidays, but it's nice to be home and just kind of relax and get ready for the next year too. But Troy, welcome back again. I think you've been on since 100, but welcome back to the podcast. You've probably been on 4. This might be your 4th time or close to it. Shoot. I was joking about the 5-timers club, but now I'm not. Yeah, one more time and you're on. you get something. Uh-oh.
You're
I don't
muted.
Have your audio for some. Troy, I don't have your audio for some reason. You're not muted on my end. Nope.
There we go.
It's just he's speechless.
Other show. I know. Emma has me speechless. Her conversion copy is just it's blowing my mind.
It spiked his brainwaves.
Oh, good.
No, I get this nice new microphone, and then I'm learning how to use it. So
hey, that looks. Yeah, I was gonna say new microphone.
I know. Looks good. Looks good.
Yeah, it looks good, man.
But yeah, thank you for having me on. It's good to see everyone here and together. And yeah, congratulations, Ryan, on 200. That is a lot of content, time, and energy. And yeah, appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, appreciate it.
But yeah, a little bit about me.
Yeah. Seller Tools. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so I'm a co-founder at Seller Tools with a few other smart folks that are Amazon sellers themselves. Prior to kicking off Seller Tools, which a little bit about who we are now sort of an all-in-one suite of tools covering keyword research, listing optimization, competitive analysis, alerts, PPC, different automation. So we have a pretty wide suite of tools focused on data optimization and automation. Those are kind of our 3 pillars. But prior to that, was an Amazon seller. I'm still selling myself, just not involved in the day-to-day. And ended up selling a brand, moved on to doing some consulting, and then kicked off, like I said, what I'm doing today with Seller Tools and focusing on features and tools and all the fun that we get on in this little industry as part of the Amazon ecosystem that has all the same fun as if you were selling on Amazon. But yeah, enjoy doing that today. That's
never a dull moment, right? Troy?
Exactly.
In the SaaS space, yeah. I was gonna say logistics, SaaS, never a dull moment. And speaking of logistics, Brock, thanks so much for hopping on Crossover Commerce. I'm gonna unmute you too. So I don't have. There you go. Brock, thank you for hopping on. Oh, gosh, there we go. Now we're unmuted. There we go. No, hey, thanks for hopping on, Brock. With Forskate, you guys are busy this time of year, so I appreciate you guys are hopping on too as well. So for people who don't know Forskate, tell us a little bit about you guys.
Yeah, I mean, Ryan, congratulations for the 200 episodes. It's really nice to have everybody in here, like remotely. I'm actually in Medellin, Colombia right now. We are opening a new office in here for Latin American market. Yeah, I mean, I lived in China 7 years and now in US 3 years. We're doing global international logistics, mainly door-to-door logistics for e-commerce and Amazon sellers. Most of our clients are right now expanding to different markets and globe, as well as the different marketplaces. So it's really exciting to see, 3 years ago, maybe most of the people only were focusing on Amazon.com, but now everybody is like doing different marketplaces, different countries. So it's really exciting, as well as it's challenges, for us, as a team, with all the supply chain issues, with the logistic problems, the price issues, availabilities. But obviously, things are, it has never been this busy for us, for the logistic people. I'm sure, like Francois and Lisa, also they think in the same way. International logistics is crazy right now. There are hundreds of shipping, cargo ships are waiting outside of California for deliveries, and everything is under delays. But we're trying to do our best for our customers, and with our software team and digital platform, it's helping our customers to track the shipments online, and it really helps a lot. But as you said, it's the craziest time of the year, and hopefully maybe the Christmas time people will give a break one day, so we will also have a break one day.
No, absolutely. And that's there's some. Well, congratulations on the new office opening. That's awesome in South America. I mean, I think again, a lot of people are looking at international opportunities in 2022. I guess I would open up to kind of the floor. I know I have multiple logistics people. I have copy, I have marketing, I have a little bit of everyone in here. It's like I'm playing this out. So I wanted to open it up for people in the group, I guess. 2021, if you had to summarize maybe in a sentence or a couple words, is there something that really if you had to really boil it down to, how would you describe that? Maybe let's start backwards. Brock, how would you boil it down into a sentence or two?
I think for most of the sellers globally, the biggest challenge was managing their cash flow because of the delays with the supply chain. If you're doing private label, let's say you source from China, the lead time was from 30 days to 45 to 60 days. The departure time from China extended from 3 days to 15 days. The transit time from 15 days to 34 days. So basically, the money turnaround time used to be maybe 90 to 120 days. Now it's almost up to 180, 210 days for some people. So that's why a lot of companies are looking for alternative markets for sourcing, alternative ways to shipping. All the raw material costs increasing in the world, especially in China, 30 to 40%, and most of the products, the shipping cost tripled, even 4 times, compared to 2019, 2020. So I think the biggest challenge for a lot of companies were expanding because they didn't have really enough cash flow, and even and also with the Amazon inventory limit. So everybody had to do plan B, plan C with 3PL, organizing the shipments partially instead of sending everything to Amazon, extra cost, extra operations. So all these things were a really big challenge. And I think 2022, it's going to be even more challenging with a lot of different factors that people can control. So I think that's the biggest challenge for most of the sellers. I think most of the people were talking about marketing things, or ranking the products, this and that, but also if you can't get your product from A to Z, that makes no sense, whatever you actually try to do. So that's why staying, I think, in the game, being not out of inventory, I think that's the key strategy for a lot of companies in 2022.
Amazing. Troy, what about you guys and the team? If you had to summarize 2020, 2021, death by 1,000 paper cuts, if I can put words in your mouth, what would you say?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's hard to look at 21 without looking at 20, because we had sort of this, the pandemic really accelerated e-commerce so fast that it almost became a bubble to burst. And that's a little bit, I think, of what we are dealing with in 21, where every part of a physical product business was realizing some type of constraint. And Amazon's not necessarily immune to that, as Barak touched on, in terms of, you've got inventory limits. So at the point of contact, you have limitations, and you have supply chain issues, and you have raw material shortages. So you have everything leading up to realizing the actual sale and the conversion being stress tested. And he's spot on too. Everything that we talk about in terms of, ranking and doing keyword research and all of these things. Well, without a unit to sell, those are it's not really a fruitful, high priority initiative in your business when you do that 80-20. So yeah, I think that's really it's sort of the, I guess I would put it succinctly as kind of like the pandemic hangover. It's, once we had this massive incline, it just had no way to stabilize at that height. And then we sort of dropped off. And I agree, in coming into this next year, is that you sort of have to, in many ways, plan for the worst. Because what I haven't touched on is also all the other Amazon changes, right? That do impact, okay, now that you have inventory in stock, what's your competitive advantage? Are you exploiting a unique point of difference? Are you selling something different? Do you understand the ranking landscape? So I think it depends on how you view it. It's like, do you view the glass half full or half empty? I think it's that stress test for Amazon brands and sellers. But if you view it optimistically, it's a tough enough landscape that if you point out what your true points of exploit are and your points of difference are, I think it provides a unique opportunity when it comes to FBA or some hybrid of that, folding in 3PL, multi-channel, that type of thing, coming into this new year.
Paul, I was assuming you have something to say about marketing and branding off of Amazon.
Dude, I love it. I know that Francois unmuted earlier than me, but I'm just going to throw that in there. Like Troy was saying, I mean, here's the thing. Like 21 for us sucked so bad. It sucked. It was not a good year.
What do you mean by that?
Well, between the inventory issues. So first and foremost, I got to take my hat off. Well, I don't even have it on. Obviously, to my wife, like Rochelle, if it weren't for her, like our business would not be afloat. Like she's adopted accounting principles. If you guys haven't read the book, Profit First, there's an e-commerce version. It's amazing. And she's been running our business with that model. And if it weren't for that, like we would be out of business. But like everything that she's done, like to the best of her ability, inventory planning, it just got hosed. I mean, we, most people know, if they've listened to me for any length of time, we sell in the baby space. We're very seasonal in the summer. So our order that we had placed that was supposed to be our summer order, instead of like, we tried to space it out, but our flipping manufacturers shipped it all together. First and foremost, that kind of screwed stuff up for us in that regard. And it was supposed to be here the first week of June, and it got here like second or third week of September. So we basically missed our summer season. Add into that, we've had this ongoing black hat attack that's taken down our #1 listing. And it's still not categorized. Like I'm working internally with people at Amazon. They're telling me like what the node it's in. And they're like, we can't, I don't know. I'm like, you flip and work there. Like you have backend access. How can you not move it? So anyway, I see it as a glass half full, despite all that. I guess maybe I'm a masochist. And the reason why I like this is it presents a high barrier to entry. And the higher the barrier to entry, the more fun the game is. I love playing games. I love board games that require a lot of rules because they're more fun. And so the way that I look at it is, if it's a higher barrier to entry, then the people that don't know what they're doing are going to stay out of the game, which means that it's going to make, hopefully, the PPC prices go down in the future once the aggregator insanity settles down. But I've just been thinking through this a lot because my son the other day, he told me, so my son is 7. He was like, Dad, you know what I would love? I would love to not be able to feel pain. It was like, what, like a superpower? Like you're impervious to pain, like people shoot you and you can't feel it and it bounces off. He's like, no, like I'll get cut and I just can't feel it. I was like, pain is a good thing. Pain is a signal to the body that we're doing something wrong. Or in business, right? Pain can be good because it allows you to look at your processes and see, okay, what's broken? And there's certain things that are outside of our control, right? We can't fix those things with the supply chain and the logistics, but we can become more nimble and look at our response to it. So all that to say, despite how terrible year 2021 was for us, I'm very optimistic about 2022 because we're set up for success. Because the way that I look at it, like you had said, in my head, it comes down to branding. Troy said, unique selling proposition. What is it that's unique about your products? And I think that the game on Amazon is not going to be so much the 200th spatula, and you're trying to rank against this crowd of exact lookalikes. I see Amazon moving to reward the true unique things, the people that the brands that have built a modicum of social proof, that have people that, something to bring to the platform. That's the way that I'm looking at it. And fortunately, I know how to do that. so that's why I like it. Now, it is a little bit exhausting, but I'm excited about 2022. So yeah, that's my.
Well, man, I'm glad you guys can overcome that. And again, I think that's a testament to just the processes you guys put in place to be successful. Not every brand is, we all hear all the time, not as fortunate to be able to overcome those obstacles, and they have to shut down. They can't continue in business. That's just the testament where we're at in today's juncture on Amazon as entrepreneurs, things like that. So I'm glad, again, fingers crossed for you, man. That's a lot to overcome. So I'm glad you're able to push through. Emma, what about,
let you know this time next year how I feel.
Yeah, I was gonna say, on episode 300, we'll just recap and see where we're at and just keep checking in. No, thanks for sharing that, Paul. Emma, what about you? Things to take note of for 2022 for the team? What's changing in the world and how you guys are operating in your team?
I think it's really just apparent, even in listening to all of these conversations just now and through all the engagements that we've had with various people over the last year, that it has always been a constant and something that we can rely on happening. And it's just happening at an even faster pace. And so for us, the supply chain mess also impacted us and our business, because people were planning on launching products or, gearing up for the holidays. And then they're like, we can't get our product in. So bigger issues to contend with. And that's really given us even an opportunity to be able to look at our business critically and see, okay, well, what processes can we strengthen up? How can we take advantage of this time that's a little bit quieter than normal, and really make sure that as things start to ramp back up, that we're ready to capture what comes to the best of our ability. And if for some reason things take an unexpected turn again, and likely they will, when is really the big question mark, then we're pretty good at asking questions, figuring out, getting curious and just trying to, like Paul said, treat it like a game. Like, I think that if you're in the world of entrepreneurship, there has to be almost this like strange joy in even the uncomfortable parts, because it's kind of exciting to have to figure it out. And that sounds like I have some sort of, problematic tendencies that make me enjoy uncomfortable situations, but that I think that is just kind of the name of the game when you're in business.
Right. And then, I mean, not to say that any of those things are good things to overcome. I think Paul said too, is like overcoming and feeling pain and feeling those tough things to overcome and still be able to be in business. My gosh, like I don't know where to even start. But again, Lisa and Francois, to kind of like cap us off, or finish up on the half hour, because I see a lot of other faces are popping up like you guys did in the half hour. I don't have I need more than half an hour to talk to everyone. I should have done a 5-hour episode and just said screw it and just not do anything else today.
Just a 24-hour live stream, honestly.
Guys, it's been on my radar. I promise you, it's been on my radar. Just a mega marathon of talking with people all over the world. It might happen, might not. If I say it, it's going to come to fruition. So I'm not promising anything. If my boss is listening out there, don't get any ideas. But anyways, what about you guys? And I know shipping logistics, you guys are seeing a lot of the same things. What are we looking at for 2022?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I'll let Francois talk to the majority of it, but I'll just give my 2 cents here that to just kind of echo what Emma said. Like, you have to kind of expect the unexpected. And this has been really interesting for me coming into this space in July of 2020. Like, I came into chaos. I've known nothing but chaos. So I'm really interested to see what happens in 2022. I do think that the name of the game is really going to be branding and, like, of course, getting your supply chain set up, right? Like, if you don't have any product to sell and you're, pushing on PPC and you don't have it, you have nothing. So getting your supply chain set up and then branding is going to really be the name of the game. We've been having that conversation a lot lately, but I'll let Francois talk about what he expects to happen, because I like your viewpoint. I wonder if you're going to say what I think you're going to say, but
yeah, I mean, I think everyone sort of hit the nail on the head. I think it's a certain level of maturity that a lot of companies are going into, and seeing this as a leaky bucket from a supply chain side has been interesting for the past year, for the past 18 to 24 months, really. I think a lot of it has been built on, and I had a post, I think like a year and a half ago, about this new supply chain bubble, and I called it the supply chain bubble because that's exactly what it was. It was bursting. And it's really just built on a house of cards. A lot of people were managing a very perfect supply chain, weren't expecting to have to learn about, let's say, domestic shipping, or how do ports work, or what is demurrage, what's a chassis, how do freight forwarders even work? Are they the ones that own the containers? Why can't we just make more containers? Like, a lot of the questions that I think should have been asked a few years back, but that's okay. I think this is just opening up a new level of maturity with new questions. We're going to see new answers. I think we're going to see brands just build on awesome supply chains in 2022. And I think what Brock said is perfectly valid. We're 100% going to see even more issues when it comes to logistics. It's not just going to get better. Pricing is not going to go down to what it was. I think we're going to have a new normal eventually. It's just not going to be immediate.
Thumbs down, he gives. No, gosh, every time I bring it, this is my problem. Every time I bring on supply chain people, you guys want me to talk about this for 5 hours. I swear to God, like, there's more we can talk about in this. Unfortunately,
that could be a 5-hour conversation, hands down.
I know. Well, that's why people go to your podcast, right, guys? Link Up Leaders. Again, I'm promoting people. I know everyone else has content out there. Paul's doing great things on so many different podcast channels, and Clubhouse. He's still appearing on the Clubhouse and all the fun other places that he appears, and in conferences, and we'll eventually meet up and we'll all just laugh about this together, hopefully, at least my hope is. But everyone, I just want to, because our time's up, I want to say thank you to this group for all hopping on. Thank you for coming on your own individual episodes. I couldn't be more thankful to you guys say yes every time I ask. Hopefully I should ask more, maybe instead of 100 episodes in between. Sorry, Emma. But I just want to thank you each personally for hopping on each episode and bringing the insight to the community and doing everything you guys do. Thank you. Oh, Brock, for some reason I can't unmute you, but thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Ryan.
Yeah, no, thank you all so much for hopping on this special episode and sharing it with some friends in the space. I call them friends, friends of the podcast. So thank you for being that here today.
Yeah, thank you, and congrats again.
You did great work.
Awesome.
Bye, congratulations.
Bye.
Ooh, Francois running the show now.
Santa Claus himself, who runs this show. My God. No, thank you guys for hopping on again. Before I reset and bring on the next group, I just want to give a shout out to everyone again. Thanks for hopping on Crossover Commerce episode 200. This is Crossover Commerce, where we bring the best and brightest in the Amazon e-commerce space. Like, who's taking over this podcast? My God. I have trouble over here. I can't even click anything anymore. You guys are seeing how the sausage is made, and it's not pretty right now. Anyways, we're on the last group. I want to go ahead and start bringing on people for the last part of the podcast. Group number 4. Look at these people as they start to pop up. And Leslie, there she is. And Brock, I need to get rid of Brock. There it is. Everyone, welcome back to Crossover Commerce. You guys are on leg 4. We're getting a little crazy and nutty over here. I'm trying to make sure we keep this train afloat, but thanks for hopping on. Again, thank you. It's great to see some of you guys. It's been a while, I should say.
Mate, marathon man here. What is this? 4 back-to-back sessions? I don't know how you do it.
I think I've had, now you guys are like 17, 18, 19, and 20. I think I've had 20 guests on today. So all different personalities, all different insights of the community. So I want to say thank you so much for hopping on and saying yes to this crazy train that is my podcast. So thank you. I'm gonna start to single out things over here. Let me go around the proverbial room, if you will. Let me try to see. Let's start with Matt. Matt, you were on first, so let's give a quick shout out to who you are and what you do and everything what you're doing at Pinformative.
Yeah, thanks, Ryan. Congratulations as well. 200. It's a great achievement. I wouldn't like to do what you've done today. You're looking a bit tired yourself. No, I'm joking. You know I am. It's a massive thing that you've got going there, and I'm really honoured to be part of this, to be quite honest. So thank you very much. I know everyone else thinks the same thing. So, but yeah, I'm Matt from Pinformative. We're doing things with Pinterest. Middlemen we are through traffic flows, etc. And basically, we're looking into under the hood of how the algorithm works at Pinterest and how we can redirect traffic flows with minimal effort and autonomy to all marketplaces. So there you go. That's pretty much what we're doing. That's it, really.
I was gonna say, since last time we talked, you guys launched fully 100%, right? You guys are fully functioning and going.
I just know I feel like I'm dying constantly. It's very difficult when there's no sort of anchors out there to go off. You know, there's nothing to pivot off. So the fact that you're trying to do this and be at the forefront constantly, it's like, am I doing the right thing? Am I pushing on in the right way? Hopefully, fingers crossed so far. Yeah, it seems like we're doing okay. But yeah, we've launched the learning portal and we're working on various software with engineers. But yeah, it's testing. But if you don't jump, you don't fly. That's kind of like the thing, isn't it, with being an entrepreneur? So you've just got to go for it. Jump in the fire or don't jump in at all. So
I love that. Well, not a lot of people are talking about Pinterest too, which is a really cool niche to be talking about. And you guys are doing just so many really cool things too. And you, Marie, and shout out to Marie if she's watching or listening to this too. So you guys are doing awesome things. Andrew Morgans, welcome back. The man, the myth, the legend who hopped on. Gosh, you've been on. It's been a while since you've hopped on here, but thanks for hopping on today. Give a quick intro of yourself if they don't know who you are.
Yeah, Ryan, thanks for having me on. This is special, season 3 finale, episode 200. So I don't think that can be understated. It takes a lot of work to produce 200 episodes. So congratulations, number 1. Number 2, Pinterest is the shit. I love Pinterest. It's like one of the, I honestly want to learn more just because with some of the brands I own or the brands we're working with, like Pinterest has been one of the best traffic generating sources that we've had, depending on what product you're in. So I think as someone that, at least in my neck of the woods here in the Midwest, I definitely felt like I was creating an agency when there wasn't one to build off of as far as services for Amazon. And it is very tough being a trailblazer. So just keep your head down and keep pushing there. I think it's fun because, you get an advantage of being a first mover, but also when you look around, there's no one to validate what you're doing, so just steady as she goes. Marknology. I'm the founder of Marknology. To all our listeners that don't know who I am, Marknology is a full service Amazon agency. We specialize in everything that it takes to get successful on Amazon. So we don't have one specific niche. It's more so, how do you get your brand positioned on Amazon? How do you transition from one type of selling to the next? What's international marketplaces look like for you? I've been in this space quite a while, so I've seen a little bit of everything. And just like Paul and the group before us, we're talking Paul and Emma, being comfortable with the uncomfortable is an entrepreneurial superpower, and just being ready to pivot and change. So, e-commerce in general was a change for me. So I haven't had any issues adjusting as change happens over the last 10 years. But for people that have been in business a long time, change can be hard. But like Paul said, the gamification part of everything. I used to be I'm only 35 later this month, but I've been around computers since I was a little boy. And, whether that was building them or tinkering or whatever the case might be. And played a lot of games way before there were streamers or 24-hour streaming marathons, and people were getting paid. And I definitely feel like I bring some of that that gamer outlet to Amazon, the Amazon algorithm and e-commerce and selling online, and can just relate to what they were saying before about as it's getting harder and there's more rules, and to sell a high price item, your branding has to be on point, your storytelling has to be on point, your off Amazon efforts like Pinterest and Facebook and social have to be on point. As the game gets harder, it gets a little bit more fun for those of us that are competitive. So it's been a tough 21, but it was a tough 20, a tough 19, tough 18, tough 17. So I mean, it's been tough going since I started my entrepreneurship journey. No more difference here in 2021. So that was just I was sitting in early in the group and listening kind of to some of the conversations.
He answered all my questions. Like, you're done. See you, Andrew. Thanks.
I'm out. No, but
you're all good.
Just excited to be here and excited to be part of this episode.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much for hopping on. You're a busy man. I love your post where you show your list of things to do. You're one of those diligent people who you get stuff, for lack of cursing on my podcast, you get stuff done. So I'm gonna keep it kosher on YouTube today. So Leslie, thanks for hopping on today. Another person who's just crushing in the Amazon space, or crushing Amazon, if you will. Leslie, you always have an awesome opinion about what's going on in the space, right? Like what I did there. See, I have some chops about me. No, for people that don't know your background or what Riverbend does, can you tell us, please?
Absolutely. And first, thanks for having me on, and congratulations on the big 200. That's making you a grandpa in the Amazon podcasting space. If you're going by episodes instead of length of time, you're
right.
aging.
There's gray hairs in here.
That's right.
I started the podcast without a beard. Now I have one. There's gray hairs. I'm losing hair. It's gonna be bad by 400.
See, I just had to work that in because people always laugh when I say that in the Amazon space, I'm like a grandma. Now, I'm not really a grandma, but in the Amazon space, I am, because I've sold on Amazon for 11 years. And there are other people who are actually in the great grandparent era, but I figure I'm in the grandparent era. Riverbend Consulting, we do all the unpleasant things no one wants to deal with. So we solve problems with Amazon when people's accounts are suspended, their ASINs are suspended, their inventory is stuck and stranded, or their inventory is stuck in FC transfer for 65 days when it's not supposed to be more than 30, or whatever the stupid, idiotic, ridiculous thing is that you've tried everything that you can do to talk to Amazon and you get these form emails back that make no sense whatsoever. That's when you call me, because we handle all the stuff that no one wants to do. We've been around for 4.5 years. We've got 60 employees, but 15 of them are ex-Amazonians, which is part of where we get our mojo to know how to deal with the workflows and the bizarreness and the frustration that is Amazon. And then on the other side, we do the other set of stuff no one wants to do, the boring things, like your reimbursements and customer service messages and all of the things that make your account tick every day so you can actually get a Pinterest strategy, which most people don't have, or manage your brand better, which a lot of people don't do. So a lot like Yoni over here, who helps people find great resources so that they can grow their business and focus on what you actually make money doing. That's what we're here for.
Pandering to the crowd. I love it.
Hey, and I got to say, hey, Yoni's actually found someone for my team that's helped us to be able to do what we're doing, and they can focus on some of the day-to-day. So got to throw in a plug there.
Love that.
Yeah.
Thanks, Leslie. Yeah, I mean, that's it, right? You pick the businesses that aren't necessarily the sexiest, where people have the most challenges, and that's where you create intrinsic value. And yeah, I mean, I've seen you guys grow over the last couple of years, and it's nothing short of unbelievable. So yeah, happy to be partnering with you, and also obviously you too, Andrew, mate. Seeing friends, partners, it's all very exciting. I'm just jumping in here, Ryan, because
no, go ahead.
I figured I'm going to go last here, but mate, 200. How can I also not jump in and say that really is an impressive feat? I'm actually going to take all of your hard work to growing it to 200 now and giving a shout out. I don't know if any of you guys know, I'm actually pretty sure Joe Zalta connected me with the guys at Buybox Experts. But there's a bit of a disaster going on in Cebu and Mindanao right now in the Philippines. There was a Category 5 typhoon. About 10% of our team were impacted, and they're all okay, which is great. And we've been actually working with Buybox Experts and a number of other companies trying to raise funds and get supplies over there. So I'm going to drop you a link, and I'm really just giving a plug so we can raise some additional funds to help people on the ground get access to fresh water, food, power. So
absolutely.
Thanks for
all the chat, and we'll throw it on the comments.
Yeah, thanks for all the hard work. 200 episodes, getting to that level of following, so that it creates a meaningful platform to actually help people. I've just put it in there.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me copy it and go ahead. And Yoni, I was joking about this too. For people I've had on the podcast multiple times, you're one of the few people who've been multiple than just one time. We're going to get to a 5-timers club here shortly. If you're an SNL fan, I'm going to start making jackets for people. It's going to be a whole thing. So we're going to start this soon. But yeah, you're one of the people I think is creeping up on 5. So I was telling the people who are like Troy Johnson from Seller Shows, like, I think next time I have you on, I need to buy you a jacket or something like that.
Yeah.
It's going to happen.
I'll take one of those like Super Bowl type rings as well. That works too.
Yeah. I'll get working on that right away. I gotta. All right, if my boss is listening, we got some work to do. So no, but you're working great things to multiply me and Scala as well. So for people who haven't, if they miss those episodes for some reason or another, which they shouldn't have, because they're subscribed to the podcast, what are you doing over there?
We're helping support both agencies, e-commerce sellers, aggregators find really high level talent out of the Philippines and help with the integration component. And on the that's Multiply Me. On the Escala side, we systemize e-commerce businesses and agencies and aggregators effectively. So, Andrew will be able to tell you a lot more about that in the coming weeks and months. But yeah, effectively what we're trying to do is to help businesses either for scale or for sale, making sure that we're really attacking it from every aspect of it. So we deploy our consulting team in, they interview, they shadow, they review. It's like having a SEAL Team 6 in your business, really trying to build it for that next level. But that's enough out of me, mate. I'll hand it back over to you to run this.
No, that's great. And I put that link in there as well. So hopefully people should be able to see it on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, or Twitter. So that being said, again, congratulations. Like Andrew's doing podcasts, Yoni's doing it. Leslie, you are running podcasts. Matt, you might be doing podcasts. I feel like I have the podcast crew here to cap us off. What I've been asking kind of every group, there's a lot going on.
Don't worry. Ryan, I don't know what I'm doing either. Don't worry about it. It's fine.
No,
it's fine. I've not a clue what I'm doing.
Can I give another plug?
If an entrepreneur says they know what they're doing, I'm sorry, but they're lying. You've just got to go through it and pivot and move all the time. So, I'm not going to pretend and sit here and go, I know exactly what I'm doing. I'll be lying. Sorry.
We're all making it up as we go along. Isn't that how it works?
Yeah.
But can I want to give one more plug here. Riverbend are up to some pretty exciting stuff. I sat on with Brianna the other day on Surge, the event in Miami. That looks absolutely unbelievable. So
thank you for the plug. I love it.
I'm so excited and also devastated that I can't make it, but it looks like I'm expecting my first child in that week. So if there's a good excuse, right?
I didn't know that. Congratulations.
Yeah.
That's
Thanks,
exciting.
mate. Thanks. But it looks amazing. Like I was literally looking at the deck, just saying like, holy shit, how do I get here? Like, it's not happening. But anyway.
Well, thank you. That makes me happy. We tried to create an event that was what we would want an event to be. You go to enough conferences and you see the strengths and weaknesses of each one and the things that are really cool and the things that you're like, what a missed opportunity. So this is the Surge Summit. It's in February. Now that he plugged it, I have to say it. Sorry.
No,
it's in.
You're doing it on a favor. Like if you can get there, you should be there.
No,
yes.
Me too. I've already talked to Brianna. I talked to her. Gosh, when she's like, this is the very first draft of what we're putting out there, and they go, just give it to me. I'll look at it, and I thought it was really cool too. So, we're trying to figure out how, for hell or high water, how to get there. And again, I think that kind of morphs into my question for 2021 and 2022 of last year. I mean, there was kind of a tale of two halves, right? We looked at like the first part and people got together events and things like that. If you guys had to summarize, I know Andrew, you already did this too. Matt, maybe let's go to you. If you had to look at 2022, put it in a sentence, how would you categorize 2021 right now?
In one sentence? Oh,
Or a few words, just no cursing.
The problem is with, because I'm obviously studying the dynamics and the algorithm of Pinterest, it's kind of like we're a spider's web. We're right in the middle. So I'm seeing everything from all dynamics, from all SM platforms, marketplaces. So for me, I would say freedom of TOS is 2022. I think people are going to have more freedom to be able to pivot, move, but they've got to move quick and they've got to move in outside of the box. That's what I think. I think that it's very easy to be stuck in your lane, like in 2021. I know there's been inventory issues and importing's a nightmare, and there's all these different things. Because I'm part. Obviously, I've got Amazonian. I've got my own Amazon stores, brands. But for me personally, I think that next year things have been blown open by the pandemic. You know, things have been blown open exponentially to the point where I think it's hard to ignore. And if you don't ignore it, I think you'll thrive. I think if you do, you're missing out. That's what I believe. So
good question.
I tried to put that in one sentence. Sorry, but I couldn't.
No, you're fine. No, it's okay. Normally, I ask for one sentence. I expect like 3 minutes of dialogue from people. So this is what I do. I've learned it over time. Cool. Maybe Leslie. Leslie, what would you say? Obviously, you've probably seen so many issues with Amazon. I call it 2021 was the year of death by 1,000 paper cuts, of little things here and there would creep up. And you're like, that's unfortunate. Like, that bothers me. But then all of a sudden, it's just like they all add up over time. Like, by the time you got to the end of the year, it was just, good Lord, looking back to where we were and now you look at now. What was that like for you and the team there at Riverbend?
So I think the answer for me is just more so. So 2021 was like 2020, just more of it. And I think it's going to be the same next year. There's Amazon's enforcement is fascinating and full of false positives. And I've never seen so many false positives. It's just going to be more and more on the linked accounts, the EPA stuff, the pesticides, all the things frustrating everyone. And then there's also the threat of legislation, the breakup platform monopolies efforts. Amazon got really aggressive this year with some things against sellers that now they've backed off of, like the price fixing nonsense, trying to force third-party sellers to adhere to Amazon's pricing standards. But do not be surprised if this crops up again in 2022. And with the threat of legislation, it's going to be just more so, because whenever Amazon has pressure on it from the FTC, the EPA, Congress, it rolls downhill to the sellers. So we're just going to see more rolling on down the hill.
Absolutely. I'm going to unmute myself. Andrew or Yoni, would you piggyback off of that? Or is there issues that you guys are seeing with your brands or your companies that you guys are working with? Or has there been other issues that have been poking you in the thorn or the side as a thorn, or thorns, if you will?
Yeah, I'll jump in here, Yoni, and then I'll pass it down. You know, as an agency owner, I can speak to that versus a seller. As an agency owner, there's been changes in the advice and consulting we're giving to brands, right? Which is like sourcing from Latin America, perhaps, or looking to manufacturers and brands that have distribution or have stock in the US, meaning they're making their products and stuff right here versus needing to import. Ways to keep my agency more stable by the brands that we're choosing to work with. We only get to work with so many brands. I mean, most agencies can only handle so much until they scale the next level. So choose wisely. And as an agency owner, you know, you're adapting to what the market's giving us and trying to adjust based on the customers that you're getting. So we found a lot of success with brands that were making their products here locally. As a seller, what I would just say is patience and long game. You know, just if you've been here, you know, I've been in this space 10 years, so I guess I'm grandpa too. You know, we work with Riverbend Consulting as well. I think I actually got a call on the calendar, so shout out to them as well. They're always helping us with stuff. But you know, to the sellers, I would say like the one advantage I have is working with hundreds of brands over time and seeing the evolution of the marketplace. It always changes. It's always pivoting. It's always adapting. That's why I love it. And that's why it still has my interest. So I would probably be moved on to something else if I had done something 5 years and it never changed. And we already had it maximized out. So I would just say steady as she goes. The people that are getting anxious and stressed, and I know there's some of that in the short game, but try to picture the long game and where e-commerce and where the marketplaces are going and focus on that. We're still seeing massive growth in 2021 on the brands we're working with, even though 2020 was huge. So steady as she goes, make your plan, further ahead, long game. We're not in this just for the short return on money. We're building brands, we're building successful businesses. So I think keep that in mind and just be ready for the pivot.
I love that. Yoni, anything to add on top of that?
Yeah, I mean, I'll actually pivot here a little bit, and I'll say I feel like we've sort of been in the era of the Wild West in terms of what's happening. You talk about 10, 11 years selling on Amazon. You guys have seen a lot. I've been in digital marketing for getting close to 12 or 13 years now as well, and I think that there was the period of time where you found a product on AliExpress and you slapped a sticker on it and you did some keyword research and you drove some. I mean, you weren't even driving external traffic back then. I think it's a really great time for Pinformative for you guys, Matt, to be getting in the game here, because I'll step into the future. I feel like we're really moving to a stage of professionalism in the space. We saw $13 billion plus of VC money roll into the space over the last couple of years, and we're going to see some very interesting things. So, starting to have a really defined and finite strategy on what the business strategy and direction looks like are going to be the things that I think people should be really looking towards. So not just looking at how do I sell a product, but how do I build a brand, and how do I actually have, it's not just about an exit strategy. I want to actually say that exits are not necessarily what everyone's driving desire should be. Once you sell the business, there's no more money coming in. People don't, I think, always realize that. But yeah, I think 2022 we'll see the professionalism or the professionalization of the space, and we're going to see a lot more strategic people coming in. And it's exciting. To your point, Andrew, more challenges for all of us.
Well, I'm gonna take that real quick, and I know we only have a couple minutes. I promised for each of you that would be on here, and if you can't say that's great, or we can cap it again. This is for season 4 as we tease this and going into the new year. I teased this in the earlier of the podcast episode of there's a lot of clamor that maybe this is getting rid of the people, not just the end of a Wild West, but almost the beginning of a new Wild West Part 2. And what I mean by that is PPC is becoming hard. It's harder to drive traffic. You need a brand. You almost need all these different external ingredients now to be successful on Amazon. And it's going to get rid of a lot of people who are getting there for the quick buck, not the long-term game, it's a refocus, but it's also the competition might actually lessen, believe it or not, on Amazon. Don't know if that's true or not, but it was an interesting idea of maybe this will reset the playing field so that the people who can achieve these successes of building a brand, driving external traffic through Pinterest or through an agency or all these other ideas of which Amazon has put us into these guardrails. Is that what we're going to start to see? Or is that something that maybe does that make sense to people? Or does that maybe not make sense in that capacity of maybe this is just we'll see less and less competition, but we'll see less and less sellers and more aggregation, consolidation, so on and so forth. Anyone want to take that?
So
I threw 10 things there.
Yeah, so I think that could happen kind of in slow motion. None of these things are quick because Amazon has hundreds of thousands of sellers and so many niches. And niches on Amazon can be really big. When you think of a niche, you think of something small, but the revenue in one niche on Amazon could be massive because there are so many people from all over the country and all over the world who can order this niche product. So yes, is there more? And I couldn't agree more with Yoni on the idea of the professionalization of Amazon. Yes, and the consolidation and the aggregators and all of this, I think, can create some haves and have-nots. But Amazon is still the best incubator for small business in the history of mankind. It is still a platform with very low barriers to entry, and it is still a place where people can have side gigs and do so profitably. So will we have more mega brands and super brands and big performers? Absolutely. But I don't think that takes the opportunity away from the little guy.
Matt, what are you and your team saying?
I'm trying to cut in with something relevant because there's so many aspects again it's crazy what we're seeing. Obviously, you've got the media side of things with TikTok, Snapchat. You've got all these, because the thing is, brands are big, but what we're finding with Gen Zs is they're actually buying products because a person is influencing it. So a person is selling the product, not the actual brand. So you've got a different kind of clientele up and coming with the Gen Zs. And, the millennials, well, the millennials are really the fundamental millennial professionals are the ones with the money on Pinterest. They're the ones who are buying, and it's predominantly 80% of female-driven market. So, but that's changing again. That's changing because there's more males coming to Pinterest. The Gen Zs are pushing that way as well. You guys say you're granddad. I've been doing this 15 years, believe it or not. So I don't know what I am. I had a Spectrum ZX when I was 3. So maybe I'm a great granddad. I have no idea. All I know is that my background is multimedia, and what's happening is that I feel like I'm being pulled out with my skill set to go, okay, multimedia, meta tags, data within images. It seems like we can't avoid with where things are going with regards to Amazon, with DSP introducing the video algorithm. Videos are becoming predominantly quite a heavy thing to take seriously in all of these things. So from my point of view, what I think that it's actually creating more of a side hustle, which is them becoming a business. But the problem is, what we're finding, some people don't have the capacity to take that side business when it gets too big, because you can get influenced too quickly, too fast. The scalability can be a problem as well. There's so many angles to this. It's crazy. So I'd like to see more regularity next year, which would be interesting. I think that Pinterest offers more regularity than TikTok. Somebody might argue with me from TikTok about that. I'll have an argument with them.
I knew I should have put you in a room with TikTok. I knew I should have done it. I
Get
thought
me in a
about
room
it.
with them. I'll have an argument. No problem. Get me in a room with them. Sorry, I should say that, but it's not an argument. I just like to have a discussion because, like I said, there's so many elements that. And when you mention the Wild West, yes, it is. Everything's been blown open. I think next year what we might find is a lot more understanding, which I think will be interesting. Very interesting. And once you get understanding, you might get more regularity and scalability. But I'm approaching this from a different angle. I'm looking from outside in, not just inside out. So I'm just giving you guys something different, from that kind of angle, really. So,
Ryan.
Yeah.
I'll jump in here just shortly. Matt, I 100% agree on the variables. It gets really hard for me when brands are asking me for expectations or projections. I'm like, well, there's about 44 variables here I need you to fill in for me before I can even tell you what direction I would go. And so it becomes one that's very dynamic as you're navigating with the brand. What I can say from my perspective is, Marknology has been working with influencers. We have influencers that have 10 million, 15 million followers, and how are we launching brands with that type of outside Amazon traffic? It's super exciting to me. You've got attribution now. We're running TikTok ads, posts. That has always been something since the beginning of me helping brands on Amazon, whether it was private label or massive brands. We used off Amazon traffic, and it started with eBay when eBay really rewarded off Amazon traffic and gave you refunds back in the day and some juju to your listings. It was like they talked about it. It was in their terms of service. And so we leaned in that, and I was like, I would assume Amazon does the same thing. So I brought that to Amazon really early. But I think that, there's so many aspects in that way. But my last thing I would say is, stop thinking about Amazon as your only channel or as a channel. We're talking about e-commerce. We're talking about commerce, even without the E. And so that's always been my vision, is Amazon is part of your business. It's not all of your business. And so, it's rare and a crazy thing that we had for a few years where you could launch an entire brand with just Amazon advertising and PPC and get results. And, that's not the natural course of the business. It takes years to build something like that over time. And I think that we're back to more of that, where you need a little bit of logistics expertise. You need a little bit of off Amazon expertise. You need D2C. You need a brick and mortar experience. If you're in that space, you need all of these little things. People talk about, how do you get reviews? Well, it's a touch here, touch here, touch here, touch here, touch here. And so really just think about your business holistically. And I think that's the key to really understanding how Amazon is going to change and fit in everything. Just make sure it fits in your overall strategy.
Yeah, I mean, all those make sense. I think there's so many different components, like you said, Andrew. Of e-commerce is only still what 13 to 16%. It's all like in general of all commerce, and a lot of it's in retail and different ways that are happening. Again, there's so many different opportunities of growth, and we're just in the beginning stage. We're in it every day, so we see the opportunity and growth. I guess final words, Leslie, you and your team, obviously for 2022. What's the major focus? Like, I guess we're looking forward, and we're spinning this forward a couple of weeks, months. What are we looking forward to opportunity wise for you at Riverbend and the team there?
Oh, goodness. Well, Yoni was kind enough to mention our event, thesurgesummit.com. Check it out. But we're super excited about that because we really love the opportunity to bring sellers together and have, a room full of hundreds of sellers who can talk to each other and have conversations like this one that we're having right now. I think that's really important. Selling on Amazon can be a very lonely thing, where you feel very isolated if you're not part of these communities. And I think the same can even be said for service providers. But then also on our team, we're really looking for ways to engage with Amazon on more challenges. It is becoming increasingly complex to sell on Amazon. And we are really looking for ways to tackle the day-to-day problems people are running into that seem really weird and strange and odd. And, the sellers need to know that there's someone out there on their side. And then finally, my personal little Amazon mission is I'm trying to bring some more focus and understanding to the proposed legislation out there that Congress seems to think would take Amazon from being a so-called monopoly into not being a monopoly. And actually, I believe it would create more of a monopoly because Amazon would do away with third-party sellers on the platform and just offer, the deals that they get through vendors. So really trying to push that and help sellers understand so they'll reach out to their legislators and say, no, we need to actually read the bill and understand what it'll do, make it stop.
Gotcha. I mean, that's a lot. That you're taking on a lot. That you're doing events. You're taking on Congress. Look how from Riverbend.
I'm out.
Yeah. It's like, my gosh. Like I thought I did a lot with 200 episodes. That's a lot. So no, it's what about going over to Yoni? I know you guys are just doing so much work too. You guys are traveling a lot. You have a baby coming along the way. What's 2022 look like for you, man?
Accelerators, not aggregators, are going to win the race. Lots of big things, mate. Lots of big things going down. I stole that from the CEO of Patton, just by the way. Lots of exciting things. We've got a new venture coming on. There is obviously some real focused growth and, positioning. We've only been in market now for a couple of years. And, I think this is the time where you start to build structure and alignment and really understand each of the functionalities of the business. So, yeah, I mean, we got about 220 people now on payroll, so it's grown real quick to sort of start to bring in some key focus. Because if you don't do that, you've got different functions driving in different directions. So yeah, I would say 2022 is definitely the year of focus. But yeah, some exciting things to come.
Awesome, Andrew. Anything to add?
Yeah, I'm excited to not be comparing to 2020. Numbers and
good point.
I just am so tired of having that conversation. We had an anomaly year, just everything changed. Grandparents were buying online, kids were probably buying online. So we had a crazy year, and so trying to run Amazon businesses alongside brands and have those conversations, I'm just excited for a new fresh year. Partnering with the Scala on top of lots of other things we're doing it's 2022 is about focus and systems and optimization. It's about bringing Marknology to the next level professionally, trying to lead the pack in regards to doing things at a high level with quality for the brands out there that are looking for experts to work with. So everything from proposals to pitches to systems to anything you can think of, just trying to bring that to the next level. I've been working on that for years, but we're going into 2022, the same mission. Just leveling up. I think scaling is the hardest thing that any business does across any industry. And so keeping my focus, on scaling and keeping that quality super, super high so that we can continue to be the agency that we've been for the last 7 years. So I'm honestly excited. New Year's, my birthday is the day before New Year's. Not that I'm dropping a plug. I don't need any gifts, no. But
happy birthday. What's your address?
What's that address so we can also
I'm just kidding, guys.
Drop it in the link. Drop it in the comments.
But I just get excited about new beginnings, and I get excited about my goals for the business, for myself, like, that vision, that reflecting part. Like, so this is my favorite time of year. I always go look at the list from 2021. What did we get done? What did we fall short? Where can we do better? And I think every seller, every business owner, every founder can take that, and whether it's a New Year's resolution or it's simply what's our Q1 goals, getting those outlined and getting excited about it is what I'm looking forward to.
Amazing. And Matt, I know you guys are just launching too. So what's
I think
2022?
I think that what Andrew just said is really important. I think that a lot of agencies and sellers need to use that word very, very specifically. It's focus. I think that if you can gain focus and find your path through all of this, because let's be honest, it's been a complete nightmare in so many ways since 2020 in March. I think that's the key. I think if you can make sense of this and find that path, focus, go for it, and don't try and deviate from that path, because we've all been all over the place and it's been a bit of a nightmare. I'm only speaking for everybody here, but I should maybe not do that. But it's just from my point of view. I think a lot of people have struggled. I spoke to the eBay development team what was it now, 3 months ago, and they said to me they were writing off all the stats for 2020 because they don't want to compare it to 2019. Well, that makes complete sense, Why would you want to compare that when it makes absolutely no sense? Some of those demographics and analytics are just what is going on, You can't really gauge something with traction on something that is completely erratic. And I'm excited to see how this all levels off, so to speak, how it scales and levels off, because I think that we need that. And you can build sustainability around that. And I think that you can focus on sustainability. So yeah, I think that what Andrew just said then is spot on. And Leslie, I've got to take my hat off to you. I won't do it right now, but I've got to take my hat off, because my dad always said to me, if it's difficult, it's worth doing. And what you're doing is difficult. And I definitely don't think for me it's worth doing. I think it's crazy what you're doing. And I've got to give you a full admiration, because it is what you're doing, I think people need. And those kind of businesses, they're essential. People need them. So yeah, it's a brilliant thing you're doing, by the way. I just thought I'd say, and thanks, Yoni, for your kind words as well. I think that hopefully, I'm hoping that what we're doing at Pinformative will reap benefits, not just for Amazonians. I've been working with big commerce engineers. It's the full works, Shopify, Magento. It's maybe I am a bit nuts. My wife thinks I am. I mean, I say things to my wife. She looks at me blank and just goes, "I have no idea what you're saying half the time." So I've kind of got used to that notion now.
Man, a lot of people in this space, a lot of people, that's our response, or that's their response. When we say something like, "I have no idea what you're talking about." I get it.
Cool. But no, I'm excited for 2022. And I think that focus is one really important word that everyone should take really seriously and use going forwards.
Absolutely. Well, I know I've taken more of your guys' time. I know I offered half an hour. I'm sorry I took more of your time today. But thank you so much for hopping on. Each and every one of you, I know you guys have been on individually. You're doing so much great work. And I brought a lot of people today that I admire in the space who are just thought-provoking. I learn a lot from when I just sit here in the chair and I just sit back and I'm taking notes. So again, congrats to all you and your success. Hopefully in the future, we'll be connecting here in person. I keep telling this, I've only had one guest that I've ever met in person, so that's going to change in 2022 for sure. So thank you all so much for coming on today and spending some time in my corner of the internet.
Cheers.
Thanks guys.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. Thanks guys.
Thank you.
Thanks guys. Oh, that's Matt. There you go. See, after 200 episodes, I still can't control myself. Control this side of the internet. Guys, thank you so much for hopping on Crossover Commerce episode 200. Again, 2-hour episode, 2.5 or 2 hours and 15 minutes now we've been going. thank you so much for hopping on, just spending a little bit of time on my corner of the internet, just to understand the best and the brightest in the Amazon space is what I do and what I love. I just want to give a quick, and again, another shout out to PingPong Payments. PingPong Payments been sponsoring this podcast since day one. Again, helping people sell and or keep more of their hard-earned money when it comes to sending and receiving funds. So without them, this podcast would not be possible. This is our season finale of the podcast for the year 2021. We were able to have a nice round number to kick and finish off 2021. So I'm really excited that worked out. But I just want to thank everyone who actually tunes in and listens and is watching right now. The hundreds of the thousands of people who watch this on a month-to-month, year-over-year basis. I'm super excited to share this information with you of my network of people. Again, the people I learned from, I want to share with people to help them learn and grow, connecting those individuals. I already have messages that are like, hey, can you introduce me to this company or this brand or this expert? I get those all the time, and that's why we do it on this podcast. Shout out to PingPong Payments. Shout out to all my guests who say yes to this. I call them friends of the show. So a lot of friends of the show who came on today. I appreciate their support, and I want to thank my wife and kid, my wife Hillary and my son Billy. Again, without them, none of this would be possible. They listen to me rant and vamp about all this different kinds of content that I learn about on a day-to-day basis. So I want to thank them for just all the different support they give me and being able to say yes when I throw around ideas, such as a crazy thing like starting a podcast. They were the first people that said, yes, I could do it. So with that being said, this is just the end of this season. We'll catch you guys next year in 2022 on season 4 of Crossover Commerce. Until then, you can go to usa.pingpongx.com/podcast for future and past episodes, and then just catch past episodes of content that you might have missed. All of our guests have had an episode before. We've had one person who has not been on this podcast in terms of their own episode, but that will change in the future. Lots of great things coming from this podcast. I can't wait to share them with you. But again, we appreciate the support, the content, the kind words, and all the different comments that have been coming throughout the day. So with that being said, I hope everyone has a happy, safe, productive holiday season. Thank you so much for spending some time the week of Christmas on this podcast. And of course, like every episode, we want to end it by saying, we'll catch you guys next time on season 4. Take care.